Hey everyone, Sawmill Charlie. Hey Randy and Brian, James, Kim. So let me go ahead and set things up here. And get the there we go. Well, anyway, hope everybody's having a good time in the bee yard. I've been feeding, and second mite treatment is done, which was Formic Pro. Did that while it was cool. Been feeding for the last week or so, and the bees are pretty much slowing down. I'm gonna go ahead and drop the link in. Hey, Danette. There we go. And there's the link. Hey, Ben. Hey, Lisa. So anyway, that's what's happening here. We've been feeding. I've dropped, let's see, about 160 gallons of sugar water into them, which is 1,000 pounds of sugar. So they're full. I checked them yesterday, and some of them had not eaten all their food within 20 to 48 hours. Hey, Tar Heel. And Michael. I don't know where Bob's at, but so if anybody wants to come on in. Hey, Lee. Mike. Where's George? Where's George? Where's George? You turn your mother speaker off, George. Speaker off. You there? Turn the YouTube side off and you can turn on your StreamYard and then you can hear you. Anyway, but that's what I've been doing. Bees are looking good. Ah, there's George. Now unmute yourself, George. You got the stream or the YouTube.
I'd never done this StreamYard before, so I was trying to figure it all out.
Yeah, right. Well, the YouTube side, you just mute that because it forms a loop, and then you just and then your StreamYard is fine.
I understood what to do. My little fingers weren't fast enough.
So where are we at? Where are we from, George?
Malvern, Pennsylvania.
Melbourne, Pennsylvania. Give me a bigger town that I might recognize.
King of Prussia.
All right, so you're on the east side over there, down around Chester.
Yes.
In that area there, Reading,
yep.
And all that. So, how many hives do you all have?
I have 10.
Okay.
I have 9 now. I found one I did out this morning. So.
Right. And so, are they doing good?
They're doing fine. I'm just a little concerned. It's been so warm. They're going through the stores pretty fast, and they're getting a little bit light. And my personal debate is, do I feed now or do I just wait and put fondant in later?
No. Hey, Bob. I've been feeding right now, and I've done 4 40-gallon tanks. I got 160 gallons dumped into them already, and that's normal for me. And the main thing is that you want them to be able to dehydrate that 2-to-1 down to honey before cold weather sets in, because lot of folks make that, especially the newer beekeepers, make that a mistake where that, well, it's not cold yet. Well, you don't want it cold. You want to give them that time to to dehydrate, I guess you would say, the sugar water.
I had
And
thought I had left a lot of honey on the hives this year. I didn't do
well,
a
yeah,
third harvest, and so I thought it was there. But when I went and looked the other day, some of them are lighter than I had anticipated.
yeah. Now on my 10 frame hives that are way down at the end of the row behind me, um, we get, I know you probably get spotter lanternfly up there,
A little bit.
and it's not as bad as it was a year or so ago. Same way here. And last year was the first year where in August they filled the top super with honey from lanternfly uh, dew, and this year they did it again, and I'll say 11 out of the 12 highs that I was checking on that was pretty heavy. They
We
had
had
40.
that 3 or 4 years ago. We had the real heavy uh, lanternfly honey, but it seems to have moderated a lot. I think the other animals in this world have figured out they can eat lanternflies, and
Yeah,
so the population's gone
I
down.
think the
The
what
first
is it
year,
called?
nothing new to eat them, so you had a lot of
Chinese praying mantis is loving them. That's
yeah.
what they eat over there. And so anyway, I mean, like it was what I was getting at is yes, they put a lot of honey in there, but I still put sugar water. A lot of people get in this, I'll say, false sense of um, security, I guess you would think, with their bees that, oh, if they got all in there, I don't have to do anything. And I go in there, and yes, there's 40-pound super on there or 50-pound super of honey that they put in there, but I come back and put top high feeders on, and I pour it to them with the sugar water, and they're taking it down. I mean, they'll take most of my hives have taken down. There's about 2 gallons. I only use half of the Man Lake feeder, so they're about 6 to 8 gallons of sugar water they've taken down.
When I've fed in the past, I find they take it pretty much no matter what. If it's warm, they'll empty those feeders pretty quickly.
Oh yeah.
It's always kind
Um,
of fun to see them come up. I've used those ones that have that center. They all come up.
that's the one I use.
Yeah.
But I mean now, um, some people talking about sugar water, going bad or whatever. And you put that 2 gallons of sugar water in the first time, and they'll have it gone in 6 hours.
Right.
They just suck it down, and I find that quite amazing. A little bug, a bunch of little bugs can do that kind of stuff.
Come on.
They
And the
might.
engineer comes out with this little hard hat and says, "Hey, we need some space to put this. Start moving it over there."
But now I went out there last night, and I fed the nukes here, the purple ones next to me here, and some of them the tanks were dry, and the other ones they had maybe a half of a top high feeder full. I didn't give them any, and well, actually, I think I had about a little over 15 gallons in my tank left.
Yeah.
And I fed the ones that were completely dry, filled them up, and some of them maybe just that they might have had maybe an inch in there, filled them up most of the way. And then there was actually only 2 out of the 12 10 framers that were completely dry, and I had enough juice to fill them up. And the rest of them were either like about half full. And so that's just telling me they're slowing down. They got, they're just about full. So I've got another 40 gallons made up in the basement right now. But I have a mentee that's close by that he bought sugar. So it's either all his sugar, or I told him, we were discussing it last night, he didn't know how much more he needed. So I said, well, we can always split this batch, and that'll help out both of us. So we don't want to waste any of it. That's for sure.
For us, the weather's changing. Next week is going to be pretty cool, I think.
Tomorrow, Saturday, and Sunday here, it's going to be in the 60s. And then next week, it's back up in the 70s, I believe, is what the weather person said. So, yes, it's cooling down. I like to have my, feeding done by, I'll say for the 15th of October.
I think I've already fed about 150 gallons of feed between 2 to 1 and 1 to 1, right? So 2 to 1 to put the weight on, and then 1 to 1 just to give them something to forage on. And it's going down real quick.
So, Mike, what's happening up in the north?
I've got the insulated or supers on top of the hives with an insulated lid on, just to keep the syrup warm.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think that my bees are going to get things dry enough. As cured as I'd like. So I'm going to start running quilt boxes. I've done that before. Burlap stuffed quilt boxes on the top.
Yeah.
And that'll take care of the moisture.
What's your daytime temperatures up that way now?
Well, last Sunday we were actually at 87, and right now we're about 50, and that weather's coming to you.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's just really, really windy here, and the bees aren't flying at all. The thing that's really killing me out here is the high humidity and the winds. If it was blowing north up the lake like it is, if it wasn't, it would be even a little cooler, because the lake is buffering us a bit. I'm only 100 yards from the lake, but that's what I'm doing here now, and I'm getting ready to hit them with the oxalic. Got a couple of hives that I want to move. Had to thank Russell for saying, hey, wait until they're not flying, and then just go pick the hives up and move them. And I'm like, okay, that makes too much sense. I was going to shuffle them in there. My neighbor is pissed because my bees are eating her. Okay, so if you have that happen, and I have that happen here quite a bit, tell your neighbor to just take the hummingbird fever and just keep moving it. Move it 10 feet in one direction, and that will really mess with the bees. It'll take them like a.
My neighbor's walking around all day.
But here's the thing, though: don't move it in a straight line, because they figure that out. You have to move it at a right angle and zigzag it a bit, or something like that. Even move it back and off to the side. If you do move it in a straight line, the bees will actually wait for you after a while. And look, okay, I know he's going to move it further in one direction. So a little bit of bees are smart.
Yeah. I don't, I would think the hummingbird feeder, that season would be over with. I'm not sure about hummingbirds.
Well, it is here. I wonder where they are. We've had our last migration went through, I think it was about 2 weeks ago. And here come the geese.
Yeah, I hear them.
Yeah, we haven't had the trumpeter swans go through yet. So they'll come here and then overwinter on the lake until the lake is completely froze over, and then move to the river. But that's what I'm doing here, and running from that. I wish I've been putting in just a little bit of bleach. And
what's your dosage for that?
Well, for 5 gallons, I'm putting in, 3.5 teaspoons. I'm not going heavy because it's so cool here. It's not really an issue for molding or whatever. But that's, and every time I go to change a bucket or a quart jar or whatever, I put a little bleach in there and shake it for about 15 seconds and pour that out. So you're getting your feeder container sanitized. And that's what I'm doing. George, earlier, when it was still nice and warm out, we were running a really thin syrup because I wanted them to brood up, get more winter bees in here, because we have the hard winter. And I've switched over to, 2 to 1. I actually switched over earlier in the week, about 7 days ago, to 2 to 1. But I was doing it incrementally. but I wanted to build those winter bees up. And also, we pulled all the honey that we could off the upper supers. I think it was about 4 weeks ago now, and replaced them with drawn comb. And we wanted the bees just to dine on the sugar syrup because they're going to be locked in there, and we want the higher peroxide and less filler or fiber or ash in it, so they don't have to go out and poop quite as often. But that's here, so that's
right.
the methodology there.
That's what I heard about the lanternfly honey was it had a high solids content, and it made it
Really
difficult for the bees in the winter that they have to evacuate more.
Yeah, high ash content or whatever.
I'm going to see if I can get the camera here to. I don't know. It's awfully doggone dark here. Maybe the lights will kick on, but yeah, that's about as good as that's going to go. So yeah, that's not going to work. But see, I've got the two deeps down here. I've got the normal lid. Okay, I've got the normal lid up here, and then the round feeder hole, and then in here is I got the buckets in, and trying to keep the syrup as warm as they can, so they're taking it down more. So that's the crazy madness here. So, anyways, just thought I'd share that with you.
That's cool.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it is. As a matter of fact, and I'm wearing shorts.
Well, actually, now see what I'm saying is that I didn't quite understand, like, why you about keeping your syrup warm, but what you're doing, you're feeding with buckets, and
yeah,
and that's a different way of doing it. And when you put the box, or you don't really have to do it with a bucket because they're underneath the bucket lid, feeding without having any robbing issues. But to try to keep them warm, like you're telling me now, you put
hey, come on.
Sorry. That's the black cat in the way.
Yeah, she got up on top of the hive and was using that pink polystyrene. That's your cat there, Charlie.
Yeah, it's my cat. Yeah.
She's sharpening her claws on it. I'm like, okay, that's fine. They're trained so they don't sharpen in the inside. But anyways, keep going. I'm sorry.
But what I'm getting at is you put the super on top of the bucket to enclose it to keep it warm from the outer elements of the temperature, snow, whatever.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's something that you're doing that for me, I don't do anything like that because I don't use buckets. But some other folks might do it. Like Bob, Bob's down there. He'll use a bucket, but doesn't have to worry about that kind of stuff because he's always warm for the most part.
Overnight, it gets a little bit cool sometimes. Like last night, I think we got down to 50 or so, but during the day, it was 83. So,
oh, nice.
Right. It's been short weather here. It's been 80s most of the time.
I had seen sometimes where with those bucket feeders, if you have extreme changes in temperature,
they drip.
You build pressure in the bucket, it drives the syrup into the hive and can wet the bees.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, actually, no, I've seen that too. If it's a really strong hive, it can handle it. As Russell pointed out, though, once you enclose it, you're not seeing those heavy swings. And, it's, the sun hitting it and getting cool. The other thing about putting these insulated covers on, or, the supers with the insulated lid on, is that the bees will, continue to take it down during the night. Bees don't shut down. So if I keep that syrup just a little bit warmer, they'll keep taking it down. And I've experimented with that, just leaving, bear jars out when it gets cool, and they just stop after a while. So it's interesting. Hey, Phil.
Hey, guys. How y'all doing?
All
Pretty
right.
good, Independence.
So are you out at the farm?
No, I'm at home. I was going to show y'all my beehives here in Capel if I can get it flipped around.
All right. George, he's down in well, of course, he's down there in Texas.
Oh, is he? Hey, George. What part?
He's up in Pennsylvania, northeastern, I guess you would call it.
Yeah.
He's up there by Carl then.
Oh, you're telling me I'm from Texas. I thought you said he was from Texas.
There we go.
Well, it's a little bit dark out here. But I got them stacked up. They're let's see if I can get around here.
Let me take it.
Woo. Yeah, it's
Oh, nice.
probably too dark to see much.
No, we can still see.
I just got stung in the head.
Uh,
Oh man, I'm channeling Bob's bees. No, I was going to tell you, I'm going to be collecting some fall honey this year.
nice.
What's that? A garden there, Phil?
Yeah, it's a garden that I didn't plant this year. Yeah, man, I hit right in the temple.
Ooh.
I figured I would just market my bees next year as Japanese bees, right? Because they all want to commit carry on me.
Seppuku.
Put a little sun flag on.
Hey, Magellan, want to come up?
It was a good day. I only took 2 stings today.
What'd you do? Lose another hive or two today?
Let me see here.
I lost the one yesterday that was wax moth. But other than that, all the other ones they're pretty much kicking in.
Well, if they got wax moth in there, it was dying or it was dead. Mm-hmm. That's why they had the wax moth in there.
Well, I mean, it got to share the wealth with all the other colonies when they went in and robbed it out. So I guess that if there's a upside to that story, right? But
were you able to save any of the comb with the wax moth and all that stuff in there?
Yeah, I popped the boxes apart and put them in the sun, right? Kind of like Mike, you've got there behind you.
Yeah.
And just we're gonna let them. I haven't broke the boxes down because day jobs and stuff like that, but they seem some of it'll be salvageable.
Yeah, beekeeper bro, I got about 30. I usually run around 30 or 32 into the winter. Right now it's 30. I lost a few of them. I've actually combined them. That'll be one of the videos coming out this week. Me combining one of my nukes. It was queenless, but it wasn't laying worker yet. So I did a Brad from the Bee Man from Faith Apiary style, where I shook it out in front of a hive and had a ramp there where they crawled up the ramp and walked right inside the hive without doing it the other way. We got somebody coming in. What happened?
Oh, we lost Phil.
Oh, there we go.
That's me. I was getting off the phone and onto the computer.
Okay.
See if I got a good mark here.
Well, get one on the other side, and then you kind of look like Frankenstein.
Exactly. Whew. It's still hot around here. It got hot. It was cool this morning. I tried to wear a flannel. That was a mistake.
What was it? 85 degrees cold this morning?
It was probably 60 this morning, 60. But it got up to 90 again today.
Wow.
Yeah. It was really good, man. I had to put a hoodie on.
So George, did you pull a lot of honey this year?
I had a really good early spring. We had the black walnut that came and really sustained itself for a long time. We didn't get rain during that period, so I got a real high black walnut light honey flow, and then I'd say a medium summer, that regular golden color, and almost no fall flow at all, and no late summer, the darker honeys. Japanese knotweed was not much this year, so I didn't get anything I got very little dark. I think I pulled a couple of frames, but not much at all. So it was a funny year. Real good early in the year, decent in the summer, and just absent in the fall.
So how much poundage do you figure you might pull in,
700-800 pounds.
Okay.
What does that come out to per hive, George, roughly, on average?
I usually pull 100 pounds a hive.
Wonderful.
That's really good.
That's good. I did. Mine was 80 pounds per hive this year, but I had some queen issues. I figured if it wasn't for those queen issues right in the middle of the darn main flow, I think I would probably hit right around 100 pounds a hive.
Oh, Charlie, what was going on with your queens?
I marked them, and every one that I marked. They left or died or done something. Now I know how to mark queens, to use a marking machine and every damn thing. And, I've had this over years ago when I first started out, and I asked one guy and he said, well, when you put that stuff on there, um, you change the pheromone smell of that bee, and I think, and then the bees in that hive think she's a stranger, and they'll kill her and stuff. So I don't know. I had my backup nukes, and I dropped them in there with new queens, and that saved me to a certain extent and everything. But yeah, Beekeeper Pro, overwintering. Yes, I overwinter nukes. I have most of the time I'm overwintering at least 20 nukes and all. But this year I think it's around 18. I've had some dead outs. I don't know. I got one in there that might probably won't even make it. I don't know what happened. It was a 5/5. It was doing great. I got into it looking around. The top hive was kind of empty, and I got down in the bottom, and there was probably a pound of bees or more dead in the screen bottom board. And the only thing I could think of is that I looked on the frames, and there just wasn't really any nectar in there. And I think they were starving to death. Everybody else had plenty of food. And that was before I really started feeding at the time, but everybody else either had lanternfly or they had some type of honey in there. So what happened to this hive? I don't know. The queen is still there, and there's a population of bees that's still in there. But I think it's so late in the year right now that they're just not going to make. They might make it if they're lucky. So we'll see what happens. I always try to overwinter and 5/5 in my area. So yeah, well that sounds good, George. And about 800 pounds. That's 900 pounds.
It's a lot of honey for me to mess with as a little guy. So it's
well, we're not big, I have a dozen honey hives and 20 nukes, and I did like almost 1,000 pounds this year. And
yeah, wonderful. I only did 720 pounds, and I got up to 40 hives at one point. So, and I felt good about it.
Yeah,
a lot of those were caught swarms. They weren't
starting.
Oh, nice.
But now out there in Texas, you don't have a huge forage stuff, do you?
No, probably not. What's kind of crazy is these bees, the ones I was just showing you guys, last year off of that yard, I only made like 115 in the spring, and I made like 225 in the fall. And this year I made 270 off of them in the spring. And then I'm pretty sure that I've got 300 or 400 pounds on them this fall.
Hey, Keith. Yeah, well, didn't you have some more rain than normal?
I didn't have, it's been really dry. It's been we had a little more rain up north here where I am now. We had about 3/4 of an inch, but we only got that one like 1.5 inch rain, 3 or 4 weeks ago down at the farm. But then just yesterday or day before yesterday, when the storms came through, I think they got about an inch and a half down there. So maybe that'll help them start to build up a little bit. I've got some honey supers on, but I don't expect anything off of those. So I just threw them on there just to see, because I was hoping for 400 pounds, but I was thinking 200 here and 200 down there. But those down there, I don't think are going to get me even 50. But anyway, I'll have to get it off. I don't have to start feeding until I can almost feed anytime I want to, but I'll probably start feeding around 1st of November.
Right. Yeah.
It doesn't get too cold to feed here until January. Maybe February. It's kind of like Bob. He probably didn't have to worry about it either.
No, I mean I'm feeding because for some, we have such a dearth in the middle of the year that they get down to basically like empty frames in a box, So I put weight on them.
I don't understand it, but I fed about half my colonies down at the farm. But here in the suburbs, they're finding something. I don't know if other beekeepers are feeding and they're living off of that. I don't know what it is, but I hadn't fed these Capel bees any, and they've stayed heavy all summer.
Yeah. So are you prepping your hives now, George, for winter and all, as far as feeding and treatments and all that other stuff?
I've got Apifor in there now that's been in there since mid-September, so it'll come out here in another couple of weeks.
Right.
And then I just put insulation under the I run screen top boards and an empty box, and I put insulation in there. I use the foam boards and then cover it up. I don't wrap.
Right. I don't either. Well, actually, the only time is the hives that are out past the barn there that get a lot of wind. I put carpet around them as a wind break.
I've got one set has got a bamboo thicket right behind it that's real thick, and so they don't get any wind at all. And then I got another set that's on a hillside slope, and the hill protects them a little bit.
Yeah.
But
I got those 10 hives there. I'll wrap them with, I'll put the carpet around the 3 sides and over top the top and ratchet strap it down. And that keeps the wind off of them, and they're fine for that.
I like the screened top or inner covers because I can put fondant on top of them, and they'll eat it right through the screen. And the beauty is I can open that up and stick it in there without worrying about bees flying out at me and everything else. It disturbs them a lot less when you can just put it on top of that wire mesh in there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now, if I have any emergency feeding, like let's say February or so, like on my nukes, I'll put a shim on and put a sugar brick on or something like that. That's what I've done last fall or spring and all that kind of stuff.
I'm with that shim is, boy, you got to be really vigilant about taking it back off, or they'll fill that up with comb as fast as they can.
Yeah. I made up some other different ways of feeding with sugar bricks with the screen and all that kind of stuff where you put the whole thing on top there. And I did have a lot of bridge comb and stuff like that in there. And I got rid of that. I just put the brick right on top of the frames, and it's a whole lot easier for me and the bees. But as far as that's why I use the top hive feeders. I like where you can take the lid off, pump it full of sugar water, put it back on, and you're done. You don't have to have too many problems with bees. The only problem I got problems with right now are yellow jackets. They're just trying to get their cells in those top hive feeders.
Oh, they've been heavy here this year. I think it's the heaviest year I've ever had.
I've had to put entrance reducers in that I usually leave in the wintertime, that are kind of like, mine are like wooden ones I've made where they have 3/8 by 3/8 slots put in, about 5 or 6 of them. That kind of let the bees be able to protect their hives and stuff like that. And as far as the yellow jackets go, but that's the only problem I have is with when I'm feeding, I'm suited up because I got yellow jackets all over my hands and everything else.
Wow.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. They're just flying everywhere. They're landing on the hose when I'm pumping.
Oh my goodness.
Coming to, they're actually on the tip of it trying to take a drink. And I'm and then they'll be in clusters on top of maybe the next hive over, and I'll take my leather glove. I got leather gloves on. I'm smashing them and everything like that, and all that kind of stuff.
I wanted to get one of those tennis rackets.
One of them electric jobs.
Yes. Thank you. We had some guys that sat around and did that for, I don't know, I think it was like an hour. Some engineers, I brought it over there, and they had the yellow jackets coming out of ground wasps coming out of the foundation. They sat there with a beer in hand and counted them. Engineers, I think they quit it at like 180 or something like that. But Rodney Middleton had a really interesting observation about yellow jackets. He said, put tuna out for them because they're craving protein. And then after the tuna's been out there for a day, then he sprinkles, I believe it's a termite powder on them. And then they take that back to the nest and wipe that out. And he says, I just have great luck with that. And I'm chewing myself out because I did not go and get that.
There's a yellow jacket. I never thought about that.
That's cool. So I actually have yellow jacket traps up here. I mean, I have, I think, 10 of them surrounding the cabin. And the problem with that is that you just have to find something that will draw them in really good.
Is that what the stuff's called? That's Chris the Bug Man. Terminator. Is that what it is, Bob?
Termidor.
That's
the powder.
Oh, thank you. Thanks, Bug. Yeah. But Richard Knoll was talking about trying to kill off all the queens for the hornets for next year.
Mhm.
And what I ended up doing was last year, just for giggles, I put literally on the front deck here, I put out a series of plates and just put sugar on it and pour water on it. And I'm feeding everything, but I had these doggone bald-faced hornets that were there, and they're all queens. Interesting thing about the bald-faced hornets when they get in there, they actually found us make a circle with their heads in towards the center, and they stay there. And I just walk out there with a stick and was squashing them, and I must have squashed a crap load of queens because we hardly had any this year. So
Yeah, now, as far as those Asian hornets, I seen two out here on the hives when I was they weren't really feeding them, but I was doing something at the time, and one I hit it and I couldn't find it where it landed in the grass, and I seen him the next day, and he was on the side of one of the stands. I squashed him, and then there was another one that was up on top of the thing. I haven't seen that. Those are not too bad. I did have a hive of them in my one in the building in one of my walls, and I went out there in the evening and got 2 cans of killer spray and foamed them up, filled that thing up full. And there were still some of them were trying to get inside where the office is, and they finally died and stuff. There was a few of them did get out, and I squashed them with a board, and they're about the size of a pencil, and it's like, and they're about as tough as a pencil too. I mean, I had to.
Well, you got to crunch them.
Well, I mean, you had to really crunch them suckers to get them squashed. There or something else.
Oh man!
But they were up on the ceiling of the office. I had to get a 1x6. I'm like, all right, I got you, like that.
Hey, that'll do it.
It took a little bit of pressure to get them crunched. That's for sure.
Oh man.
Anyway.
Yeah.
So I know I've seen Chris on there, the bug man. I guess he's over his COVID situation.
Yep, should be over it by now. Haven't talked to him in a few
Wow.
days. I didn't give him a call.
I'm gonna step out, guys. Nice to see y'all.
All right.
Take care.
Hey,
Nice to see you.
George, are you in Chester Bee Club?
Yeah, I'm
That's
part
what
of
I kept looking at your face. I said, I think I've seen you on their Friday night Zoom thing.
I do occasionally go on there too.
Yeah, I used to go there a lot, and I started my own channel, and I don't know. It's just we're at a different level here, and compared to what they're talking about, and they're more of a beginner situation, and I just kind of like, folks, I just shake my head sometimes on some of the things they talk about.
It's always tough in all these forums and the online stuff is getting everybody at the same level and everything else, because it is tough. I get it.
Yeah. It just, but yeah, I don't go under that much anymore. I mean, I still kind of jump on here lately, before I come on my channel, and I don't know, like tonight they were talking about one guy killed his hive with Apricard and all that, and it sounded like to me, well, they were a little light. Well, why aren't you feeding them? It's like, I said, did you look at your frames? I said, did you see any fluid nectar in the frames? Well, no. Well, I said, they're starved to death. It's like, learn to read the frames, pull them out. He was worrying about the brood. I said, well, you got to have food if you're going to have brood. And
yeah.
I have pollen feeders out. There's no nectar, but there's tons of pollen. So they're bringing in pollen. So, I mean, they're still hitting the liquid feed, but the pollen feeder, they just fly right past it like it's not even there.
Yeah, well,
that's bringing in pollen for sure.
Yeah. If it's local pollen coming, fresh stuff's coming in, they're avoid that. But I mean, I think even with Bob there, then you when you switched over to 2-to-1, then you started seeing them packing
the weight,
packing it in the frames.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because I had some nukes that I was growing, getting them up for winter, and all right, George. And it was 1-to-1, and they were taking it down,
okay,
and utilizing it, but they weren't packing it away. So I put some heavy stuff on there, and they put it in there. And they, now they got it. Of course, now I'm hitting them with sugar water and all that, and they're pouring it into them.
So,
Now, were any of you guys throwing
Go ahead, Mike.
well, I was just wondering, because we have pollen, dearth here right after, right as soon as I started feeding them 1-to-1, or a little thinner than that actually, I was putting the pollen sub on there because they weren't bringing the pollen in. And Charlie, how's your pollen coming in there now?
It's coming in. We got some what do you call it, goldenrod and that kind of stuff. That's we get pollen out of that. But I really haven't. When I'm out there, it's dark or getting. I'm right before dark, but I'm feeding, and I haven't really looked at them as far as pollen coming in on the front door.
Mm-hmm.
I can't sit here and say, yeah, I've seen a bunch of it. I haven't really looked for it, right off the hand. And my main goal was there's plenty of bees in the boxes there, they were mean enough. And pulling strips out or whatever I was taking off and closing them back up. Now they're, sucking down the fluids. So should be
Well, I just need to hit that Powerball tonight. If I hit the Powerball tonight, it's going to change my whole operation.
Yeah, that's what.
So you're going to put in 1,000 horizontal hives then, Bob, or?
Yeah, and about 50 Mexicans to work them all.
You got to go. We got to go for Nicaraguans, man. That's what we're getting.
Okay.
Oh, really?
It's at $1.4 billion.
Yeah, I got some tickets yesterday.
Yeah, I saw it today, and I was like, "Oh, hold on, let me get $20 worth." At least.
Yeah. Where are we at? Beekeeper Pro. Yes, I used Aprivar. That was my first treatment for the year. I did that on the 28th of September. No, I did that in July, and it came off the 1st of September. And then I hit them with Formic Pro, and we had a 2-week cool down around 75 degrees with low humidity. And I just took that off, I think, a week or so ago.
Well, did you?
Hey, Nancy.
Did you do shakes before and after your Apivar? No, I usually don't shake either. But I mean, I see a lot of people are saying the same thing that who was it? Somebody just put that they were having problems in the chat with the Apivar strips. But I mean, I took those Apivar out and put the tablet in. I still had, a bunch of mites dropping off the bees after 6 weeks of Apivar in there. So I don't know if I got a bad batch or what, but it's
like we were talking about that last night.
Yeah, when in the really in-depth chat that happens after. It's really quite in-depth.
Yeah.
Start selling tickets for that. Ian Stepler stayed in for what hour afterwards. We were sitting in there and chatting with Ian afterwards last night. So, some of the stuff that is put out there, we kind of dissect that a little bit more, right? A little bit more critical afterwards because you'll get a lot of fodder in the chat if you say something that someone doesn't agree with. So we just bounce ideas off of each other, and it's really candid, right? If you think something sucks, you say, I think that sucks, and nobody holds you accountable, right? It's like, yeah, okay, Bob thinks that sucks, or whatever. But there's a lot of things I think suck, so you guys know that. So, but it is pretty in depth.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Brad at Cajun Homestead said, has anybody seen the Beekeeper official trailer?
I have.
Is that
it's a movie.
Is it? I've been seeing, can't say his name, Gruffy. It's been posting some little posters, but it looks like his face on there.
It's Jason Stratham, I think is who it is.
Yeah.
Stratham.
Yeah.
So I guess he's going to go assassinate some bees I don't know. I haven't seen the trailer, but that's all the role that he plays all the time, right?
Yeah, that's going to be the most talked about movie at the bee conferences, but it comes out in the 12th. But if you get a chance to look at the trailer, by all means do. But look at the jacket he's wearing. It's almost like I think he's wearing a fencing jacket instead of a bee suit, which is kind of interesting.
Who's doing this? Who's the actor?
Jason,
go ahead.
Jason Stratham, I think's how you say his name.
Yeah, Stratham. Yeah.
Stratham.
If we had Leon here, it would already be playing.
Yeah, it'd already be posted. Yeah, it'd be up there already.
Yeah, but the jacket is really pretty interesting. He's wearing it though, and it's got no hip binder to it. It just hangs. And you know how bees can climb, so I'm like, okay. But it's interesting. I like it. I think the theme of the whole thing is that he's a beekeeper. What, a real beekeeper? Yeah. And he says, well, when the hive is out of balance, I fix it. And he's talking about bad guys at that point. You know?
Mm.
So it is one of those movies where he's a beekeeper, but he's an assassin or something.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. There's one part of it though where some gal's opening fire on him with a Gatling gun, and he throws a jar of honey at her and then lights the honey. And when somebody says, I didn't know honey was flammable, I'm like, oh, apparently it is. I'm like, no. But I got to thinking about it. I'm like, actually, that probably makes some pretty damn good sticky napalm if you mix a little gas with it.
A little gas in the honey.
Yeah. So I don't know. Looking forward to it. Jason Statham was a very accomplished diver. Springboard diver, and yeah, it's just neat.
Yeah, I got it here looking at it, but it, like you say, it has nothing to do with beekeeping at all.
It does in the beginning. He starts turning around a yard, and then a woman gets swindled out of a whole bunch of money that is a friend of hers or that owns the land or something like that. And they take her for every cash ounce dollar that she's got, and she kills herself. And that's when he goes, I don't think so. And he tracks down the people. So that's what that's about. But he actually is a real beekeeper in there.
David Beckham is a beekeeper.
Really?
I saw a post and he might only be, it was a post of him and his kids in bee jackets. And it was a post from Hive that they've got a few hives out there wherever they live. And I guess they harvested honey together as a family. And he's got a new Netflix documentary out there. So they were saying that was in the first scenes. They were out there harvesting their hive on the video.
Huh.
Probably cost Hive a little bit of money to get that product placement in the movie, but
oh yeah,
good for them.
Say, Bob Russell brought something up to me this morning. He wanted to see about getting a smaller creamer, and he seemed to think that you could find one that was smaller.
I do, but I don't know. To be honest with you, I don't know if the price associated with the smaller creamer warrants getting the smaller creamer, because it doesn't seem to be too much different than the bigger creamer in price. But it's 50 kilograms. So 50 kilograms is 2.2 pounds. That's 110 pounds. So it's like 10, 12 gallon creamer.
Okay.
So, and it's heated. So, I hate to say dealing because that sounds negative. I've been talking with Mehmet every single day. And every day I'm getting a little bit closer to actually having a real price list on the creamer. He did send me prices, but I'm like, yeah, I don't know. We gotta do something about that.
Well, how much is the Hilco creamer? Is that like 18 gallon or something like that, or?
I think it is, but it's not. It's not heated.
It's not heated.
Okay.
Let me see. I'll pull it up here.
Yeah, the unheated ones, if it's a single wall, I would think you could just put a silicone band on that doggone thing. That would take care of that. But what do I know? I've never run one. I think the license is, I think Russell was saying was 2,700 or something like that, and the Hilco 1,000.
Hilco's $12.49 for a 24 gallon. That's 90 liters.
Do they have a smaller one?
That's the only one they're showing on their website that I see.
Okay.
I signed up for the free what do you call it? Commercial uncapping tank today.
Oh, you did?
Hilco.
They giving one away?
Yeah, they're giving one away.
Good.
I am uncapping tank rich right now. I'm uncapping tank one more than I need.
Yeah. I was going to contact Peerco and see if they would bring in an extractor to the conference if I bought it. I don't know if they'd do that or not.
Oh, they would do that.
Hilco?
No, Peerco.
Peerco, they probably would.
I heard something about at the conference there's going to be like 120 vendors.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
I thought he said 155 is what he said the other
That's
day.
what it was. Okay. So, Phil, I was just thinking that, if you order ahead of time, I bet they'll bring it. I mean, what do I know?
Oh yeah, they will.
That would make the difference, because it makes more sense for me to fly in. But if I could save $300 shipping on an extractor, then that makes more sense for me to drive. And I can buy other crap too.
Yeah, something like that.
Peerco, I don't know if it works on the extractors, but if you order over $160, it's supposed to be free.
No, they excluded it. They grant, it was online where they were offering free shipping, but they left it up for like 1 month, and then they figured out they were losing too much money probably. So now it says does not qualify for free shipping.
Who's that?
I want the same one Mike has, and I think it's the same one Bob has too.
You got the
license?
30 frame.
The license. I want the 20 though. I don't want the 30.
I love that 20.
You say that now.
I know. I bought extractor just this last year, and now I'm buying one again.
That's right.
You say that now.
Well, here's the good news: you can run two at the same time.
Right.
So if you got the room there, and kind of go from that.
The thing I want, the 30, don't you have to remove the door frame to get it in?
No, it fit in mine. It fit in Alex's apartment door.
Yeah, really.
Mm-hmm.
Good for Alex.
I think they're 34 inches overall.
I'm pulling it up right now as we speak. I'll be able to tell you.
I'm gonna get a drink. I'll be back.
20 frame is $1,284.95. The 30 frame is $19.75.
Where are you seeing that?
Better be.
Okay, are they going to be there?
Better be. You'll be there.
Because Peerco is $13.50 for that 20 frame.
For the 20 frame?
Yeah.
Of course. How much did I just say it was? 12 what?
You said it was like 12.90 or something like that. $50 Somebody's at the door.
$12.84.95. The 30 frame. Let me see if I can find out the dimensions. It is. Drum is 32 inches by 39 inches tall. So if that helps you out any. Better be will be there, but someone told me they weren't running any specials, any discounts beforehand. So I don't know. I don't know the validity of that, to be honest with you.
Well, you can call it Better Be and get a live person there pretty quickly, And the only problem I found out with Better Be is that you actually have to ask a couple people, try and get an answer, because you'll get different answers on different things. But that was like 2 years ago that I was dealing with them, so maybe they changed that a little bit. But it was difficult to get, for certain exactly what was going on.
Yeah, Betterbee's in New York, right?
Yeah, it is.
And Peerco's in.
They better be there.
Somebody had to do that.
I see what you did there. We picked up on it. We're picking it down.
Oh man, that's a good one. But yeah, I'd like to get a creamer. And Russell would like to get a creamer too. His thing is that he just want to spend $2,700 on the license, and the Hilco is just too big for him. Now license, at least they were selling in Australia, the creamer unit itself that you could put on top of even a 5-gallon bucket. And I haven't seen that for sale. You know, if they were buying that directly from Poland and then shipping it, better be just as in carrying it. And I went on the license website and I couldn't find it. It was just basically the top unit.
Yeah, I remember they used to have that, and I've seen the units themselves. Let me see.
Do you want to go in? Should we go inside?
Cajun, we're not going to Hive Life. We're going to the expo.
Oh, he says he
there you go.
He's going to Hive Life. They probably are.
Oh, they're going to both conferences. Okay, that makes sense.
I mean, I get it. It makes sense for a business if you're big enough and can be supported at both. There's going to be beekeepers at both places.
Oh yeah.
So
what did the honeybee compound said there was a 60 on honeybee classified. So Bob, you're good at tracking stuff down.
Oh my God.
Not that I definitely that's a really big one.
You can't put that one in your kitchen.
No.
So the creamer attachment for an 18-gallon tank is $11.45. That's for the license. The 36-gallon attachment is $19.29. That's just the motor and the spinner, right? That goes on the tank.
I'm sorry. How much was the first one?
$11.45.
Okay.
That's just the attachment to go on an 18-gallon. Now that'll fit on Brian's 18-gallon. It won't fit on mine. I don't think. So he's got a jacketed tank. Mine's not. Mine's got heating element that goes around it to heat it up. So
yeah, and I really like that idea. I like the double jacket thing and the whole thing. But the more I think about it, if I was to get one that wasn't heated in double jacket bottling tank, I'd get the silicone heating wrap and put on there. But guys, we're all getting kind of chilly out here in the porch, so I'm going to go in. I might join you guys later on, but yeah, let me go and get some cream for these guys and so on, and do that. What's your load tonight going to be there, Charlie?
What's that?
What's your low temperature going to be there tonight?
I don't know. Let's see. 60 degrees, I think.
Really?
the good thing if you get a like a jacketed anything, right?
Yeah.
As compared to just like a carafe, for a lack of a better word, in a bottling tank that's not heated. If you're going to get a bottling tank that's not heated, you might as well go ahead and just use 5-gallon buckets. It's the same thing. I mean, yeah, you have to lift buckets, but you know it won't hold it. But what do you do if that you fill it up and it crystallizes in the tank? Now you can't lift it. You're in there scooping it out to try to get it back to something smaller to liquefy it, right? So at least that's my thoughts. I mean,
you can put a jacket on it, can't you?
Yeah, but the problem is the outside would heat up, but you have to get all of that honey to the same temperature, right? So, and the more honey you have in there, the longer it's going to take to do that.
Yeah, it takes a long time. I mean, but I've seen Mr. Ed put those big blankets around those big blue barrels of his, and it takes like 2 or 3 days, but it eventually gets it done.
Yeah, it'll eventually do it. Yeah.
Have you seen how much those big blankets are for a 55-gallon drum?
Oh yeah, I'm sure they're a lot.
You could have had a heated bottling tank.
Yeah, I'm sure.
So we were looking at that. Troy and I were looking at that several years ago, and he was doing the Man Lake element, metal wrap on those things. And I got to thinking, doggone well that somebody's got, barrels of oil or some lube or something like that. And that's when we found the silicone bands, and the doggone silicone bands were a third the price.
Oh yeah.
I'm like, wait a minute, I want to heat up a barrel of honey here.
All you have to do is take something and put B in front of it, and it goes double.
Yeah, something like that. Good point, Bobby. Good point.
Oh, we got this. Hey, I can get that at the hardware store. Oh, but if you buy it at the hardware store, it's only half price, and it doesn't say B on it. So
I'm going to go out and buy a 67 Chevelle spend $120,000. Then I'm going to put a big bee on the hood and sell for $3.
Sell it for free. It'll work. Some beekeeper be like, I have to have that.
Oh, amen. Okay, guys. Well, God bless, and I will talk to you either later on. I'm gonna go take a warm shower.
Hey, you know what? Before you leave, Mike, they do have these though.
What's that?
They do have this. Check this out.
Please. What do you got?
So they have these heater elements that you can stick down in a.
Oh, the immersion ones. I think Richard Knoll was messing with those.
That's 50. It'll do 55 gallons, and it's $819. So I don't know how much those wraps are. They probably are cheaper than that, especially the ones you're talking about. But
yeah, I think we were looking at them now. Mind you, that was 2 years ago. But I think we were looking at them, and they were 165 for the 55-gallon drum.
Oh yeah, the big ones. Yeah. The 5-gallon ones are like 60 or 70.
Well, you can do the same thing with oxalic acid, right? You buy the beekeeping oxalic acid, and it's like 4 times as much as this package, and half as much, right? So
yeah.
So how cold is it getting there, Mike? I didn't hear you say.
Oh, it's not going to get that cold. We're going to be in the 40s. It's just the wind and the humidity that's messing with us.
We're going to get down to 55 tomorrow. That'll be the lowest it's been.
That'll be chilly for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we're just not acclimatized to it. So, Mike, wrong. Dealer, Dodge is the bee. Actually, our mailman up here's got a super bee, and my uncle had a super bee. Those are fun. Really well put, the little stinger. I like to get one of those and put on my cub riding lawnmower. I might do that actually. Get a super bee element.
Bee lawnmower.
Yeah. Well, guys, you take care, and if I don't catch you later, I'll talk to you soon.
All right,
bye-bye.
See you.
Thanks.
And then there's great.
Dropping like flies.
Yep.
I just hit a bonus on my slot machine over here. Doing it on the other screen. They owe me $30.
Brad. Hey, Brad.
He must have just got finished with supper.
Yeah, maybe.
I got to get James's address so we can get him out some tablets. I got Brad's address, and now I have Ian's address. So now I can just randomly show up whenever I want to in Canada. And Brad would probably be like, did you bring your bee suit? Let's go.
He's working on his video.
Oh yeah? He's going to drop his video.
Hey, Russell.
Yeah, he's got to get his video done before 6 a.m. tomorrow.
Well, that was a bad bonus, but okay. We'll take free money.
So, Jason from Bohemia Bees, what's happening over on the Eastern Shore? Anything exciting? I know you went to some kind of a dinner over there. Hey there, Hibbley Earl. I know Jason's
got his high school reunion tonight. I talked to him earlier today, and he said he tasted that. What was he called? This bluebell? Was it bluebells that he was talking about they had out there in California? And he said he tasted that honey that he was going to leave on there. He says, that honey's amazing. He says, but he thinks he may have ruined about 500 pounds of it by putting his Apogard on too soon. I said,
yeah, that was it was like the goldenrod here, but it's blue or purple looking thing is the way I understand it.
And I said, well, there's one way to test. Just do the old finger in the comb and taste it. You'll know if it tastes bad or not. I mean, it's oil from thyme, however you want to say it, the herb. So it can't be that bad. He said, well, somebody said it's changes the taste of it to like Listerine. Only one way to find out. But before I threw 500 pounds of honey in the trash, I probably would test that. There it is.
Yeah.
Brad says it's called blue curl, CURL.
Curl. See, Brad's got all the specifics there. I'll know them all. After I hit the Powerball, I have plenty of time to sit back and study different plants.
So I hadn't been able to, I didn't want to have to listen to your live last night, but have you still quit your job, or did they talk you into coming back?
So I was notified today. I mean, my notice is still in, but I was notified today and asked, could I make time Tuesday morning for a meeting with the regional sales manager and my branch manager? They're trying to counter offer me, I think, is what they're trying to do right now. So it may go to like a 3-day work week, which would give me 4 days to do things around here. And
So what's your complaint, I guess, Bob, is just,
well, it's time.
I know that they always had a weird money thing.
Yeah, it is. I mean, that's part of it. So, I mean, I have made, decent money. And when I say that, it's so up and down. I could make 10 grand one month and barely make it the next month, right? Just the bare minimum. So It's like you have to constantly sit on your money because you don't know what next month's going to bring. And I could sell something. Well, prime example, sold something on the last day of August. It was scheduled for September, the third week in September, to get the job done. For some reason, some parts didn't come in. It ended up rolling into October. Then they do the work in October, which they haven't done it yet, but next week, I think it's due, or the week after. And then I'll get paid in November. So now I've sold it 3 months ago and I haven't gotten paid for it. So it's one of those things that it's just not a thing that you can always count on the money. And quit your job, go full-time beekeeper. Yeah, I mean, and that's kind of thing. My mom's got, from what the nurse said, probably 6 months. So that's part of it, right? And the other part is I can't work my bees like I need to be working them, right? Which, I mean, it's going to sound like a crock to some people because like James works a full-time job and stays out to midnight working his bees. And, but in that aspect, like my wife is stuck here all week long. So it's a travel around and sell buckets of syrup. Probably could do it. But I mean, the thing is that it's just more of a time issue. That I don't have a problem with anybody at the job. The job's fine, but you just have to understand when you're in sales, it kind of does one of these things. So, I never, even if I have money in the bank, I can't act like I have money in the bank. I just have to stay broke mindset, and hold out for the next check. And so it's more about just time freedom than it is anything else, I guess, at this point. And, two things are happening. They're kind of converging. So my mom's got about 6 months, the people said, and, hopefully she outlives that, right? I mean, obviously that's the goal, but it's also the slowest 6 months of the year in sales for pest control. So it's really at a good time to go on like a 3-week type of schedule. And I know what they're thinking. Well, hey, if it's 6 months, by that time it'll be spring, things will start ramping up. And maybe if we work with him now, he'll just stay on. And it would change because my wife can't go anywhere. If I'm at work, she's here with my mom. And on the weekends, well, I do all the grocery shopping. I do all the bill. I do all the other stuff that she can't do because she's taking care of my mom full time. So that's kind of the biggest issues that I'm having right now. But nothing with the job. I mean, the job's fine, but just is what it is,
Yeah, but your wife's getting burned out big time.
Oh yeah,
That's tough. It's tough.
I mean, I took care of my dad, me and my brother and sister, and sister-in-law, and niece and everything. And even with all those people taking a night or two a week, especially on the weekends, we got down to the point where like, hey, you know, me and my brother needed off to do what we want to do. And it's like we hired people, you know, in order to, you know, for the weekend type thing.
Well, that's the same thing. I mean, I got two sisters here, but you don't see
They ain't
them.
gonna do nothing.
No, I have to say, hey, you got to come get mom because I'm not going to be here. You know, it's one of those type of things.
Yeah,
so.
I'm like your sister, I guess, because I'm so far away. But yeah, my mother, fortunately,
my sisters live right here in town.
Yeah, but yeah, fortunately, my mother has a good pension from the post office, so she's able to pay for her own sitter in the middle of the day from 8 to 6. And my brother lives there, so he's usually back home at night. But and my sister also lives nearby, so she comes by, and you know. But on the weekends they have to watch. And my brother, he drives up. He's like 3 hours away, but I'm 6.5 hours away. So I'm probably going to be going and getting her for a week or two here in another week or so. My sister's having cataract surgery, and she's got some other obligations.
Well, I wouldn't be able to do it without my wife for sure.
Yeah.
No way. There's no way I could.
When my mom's with me, everything just slows down. I take her to my office. She sits there and reads, and so. But yeah, it's a pain in the ass, but it's time with my mom that
And that's where the part of the time, right? It's like,
right.
Well, if I knew I only had 6 months left,
right.
which my mom doesn't realize that, but
right.
I know. If I knew that, I believe I'd want my kids around me as much as they could be around me,
Right.
And that's just kind of where my mental state of mind is.
Yeah.
Because guys, I know you guys see one side of Bob on here and you guys think whatever, I don't know, but
freewheeling and dealing.
Well, yeah, you guys see me buying stuff, but I'm really kind of a thrifty guy. I mean, you may see me buy something, but it's usually after I've already saved the money up that I've been saving. I don't go into debt for things like that. So I've been able to squirrel away a little bit of money. So, I mean, I could literally take a year off and none of my bills would be missed. They're not going to come get my truck next month or something like that. It's just not going to happen. And hey, I got to thank everybody here because everybody has supported my swarm lure, the Appy tablets, Apis biologics, the mites, everything. You guys have been great for that. And that's really helped out. So I appreciate that for sure.
They Cayman Reynolds talked a little bit bad about you on the Texas Bee Supplies live yesterday.
What do you say? Because I've got a rebuttal right now since I know he don't watch our stream anyway. He talked bad about me?
Nah, he didn't say you. He said there's some YouTubers out there. The question was raised by, maybe it was Russell. Somebody's on our chat normally raised the question that no, you know who it was? It was I think it was a Texas beekeeper. What's his name? Blaine? I think it was Blaine. Asked the question of, what do you think about Appy tablet? And he said, well, they sent that to me and I'm looking into it. And then
right.
he said that, but you got to be careful about these things. We don't promote anything until we've tested it for a full season.
He don't promote anything till he gets a paycheck. If you think of anything other than that, y'all are clouded.
He was saying he was saying there's some people on YouTube that'll go on there and start selling stuff, and you got to wonder what their motivations are, and this, that, and the other. So,
what was it, Bob Hive Live? And he don't eat. He don't have no seaweed or something.
Hold on, I'll tell you exactly. I'm going to show you exactly how this works. There's a couple videos. You got to kind of search for them. The first one was right before Hive Life last year, when everybody was talking about Apis biologics, and he was promoting the Apis biologics in the global patties on the live stream, right? And he said, well, this Apis biologics is head and shoulder better than anything on the market as far as feeding supplements. And someone in the chat, just like you just said, well, what about hive life? And he says, well, as far as I know, there's nothing in seaweed that bees actively search for. And, you know, he kind of talked down about hive life. Now let's fast forward to right after the conference. You go to his channel, and there's a video on his channel that says emergency feeding breeder queens. And you think, oh, well, let's see what's going on with this. And you go over there, and it's an infomercial for Hive Alive. And if you want to use my code for 10% off, you know, use my Cayman 10 or whatever it is. And then what they don't tell you, what nobody tells you, is that you use that 10% code and they make at least 10%. They make 10%. And what I've told you on my channel is that everything I've used, I buy. I buy Apis with my own money. And I hold it here for people that want to buy it. This is my investment. None of this was given to me.
Right. So, well, and even Blake, Blake Shook had him on, and Blake even said that, yeah, we've got some of that in and we're testing it out and we kind of feel the same way and this, that, and the other. But my opinion of that is, you know what, that's fine if you guys want to do that. But if it wasn't for these YouTubers who get on there and sell it, then just normal people wouldn't be able to try it out. It wouldn't even be available to regular people if there weren't certain people getting out there, offering it up.
So let me tell you about these things. Very clearly on here it says place one tablet on the top of frames in each brood box. Directions. So a lot of times what happens is somebody will say, I got 350 hives and I want to put tablets on there, and they buy 350, one for each colony. That's not the directions. The directions say one per brood box. If they're double deep brood boxes, you need 2. So if you don't use it by the directions, you're not going to get the results that same thing with Apis or any other product, right? If you're not using it by the directions, you can't expect to get the results you want to see. Man, Philip, you did that on purpose. You just want to see Bob get on that soapbox and poke him like a bear.
You can go back and replay it. He didn't point you out. He just said some people on YouTube.
Well, I already know because some people on YouTube are they already got it out for me because I already figured out their games, right? So that's what they're saying.
When I was listening to it, I was like, oh yeah, here we go.
You know, they said the same thing about Apis, right? Go back before that. Before Apis was in those patties, the global patties, look at what Cayman was saying about Apis then. Right. But until he made some money from global patty, getting all them global patties up to the conference, then it was, oh man, I'm going to get booted off YouTube. People are going to, I'm already seeing my subscriber count going down because the Caymanites will unite and squash me like a bug. But if you guys think that they do anything that's not calculated, you're confused just a little bit is what I'm saying. Just a little bit. But anyway, that's all I got to say about that, as Forrest Gump would say.
All right. On those tablets, Bob, like I got 3 mediums. So is that
how many of them are brood chambers? The way I look at it is the difference.
Well, right now, feeding them, I'll say 2 out of the 3 are brood chambers.
Well, then I would probably do 2 mediums as 1 deep brood box, or maybe 1.5. But yeah, people are, here we go. We done wound up. See, that's why I love you guys. All the guys in our chat, we're like the outliers, right? I just think it's so hypocritical. So hypocritical. So people can say something on YouTube and some people will take it as gold just because a YouTuber said it, right? Prime example. somebody came out with some Crisco that you put a little bit of red dye in and you mix some diatomaceous earth in it and they gave it a cool name and nobody ever asked. No, I haven't seen not one single person say, well, I wonder, is that good for the bees in there? Nobody ever said that. Nobody said, well, where's the clinical studies on that?
That's the first thing I thought of when I saw it.
Where's the science behind that? Do you have any testing on that proves that that's the case? Nope, doesn't happen. But somebody comes out with a product that's been in business since 1960, longer than me. Now there's got to be studies and documentation, and is there government approval? And then they go ask Cayman, who probably hadn't even seen the product or hadn't got his paycheck yet, so he hadn't put it in the colony. You know, is all I'm saying. You know, you think these people get 27 Apamea colonies for free because they just want to spend a shit ton of money on a new apiary? I don't know. Some people got it like that. Bob don't have it like that. Is why Bob doesn't have any Apamea colonies in his apiary. So I don't know. I'm just saying sometimes you got to look past what's in front of you to see what's really happening.
Yeah.
I like that one there. How about that?
And Bob in California causes cancer.
Sure does. Damn sure does.
Yep. That's hey, I try to keep it 100, guys. I have never said that I don't make money on the products. But what I do is I buy the products with my own money. Thousands of dollars of products, and they sit here until you guys decide you want to buy them.
Well, you know, I to me, a lot of stuff is over, in my opinion, over promoted, you know.
Oh shit. Oh my God. Bob used his own money to buy his new truck. That's all I'm saying. I just made the first payment today.
Wow.
That was not user friendly.
I left a mark, Mark. I
got a welt on that one. That's like he swung by and hit somebody else, but kind of grazes you on the side.
It looks like Mark hit me on the side of the head, not that bee.
Oh my gosh.
Oh man.
Oh my.
Look at Mark go.
Yeah, yeah, I can't do that on Charlie. I can't rant like this on Charlie's channel. I have to rant on my channel.
I didn't mean to light you up. I was just letting you know that there was a discussion about.
Can Bob get an amen? You guys are funny, man. That's true.
I didn't mean to wind you up, man. Sorry.
Oh my gosh.
Maybe I should have saved that for the after party. I don't know if I'll be up that late though.
I got to meditate on this.
But I mean, all that, you know, there's a lot of people that promote Hive Alive fondant patties, and a lot of those are given to them. They're not bought. A lot of, you know, there's a whole lot of people that do reviews and talk really good things about them. Maybe it is a good product, but
I've never used it. I know that fondant typically here, because of the heat, doesn't work well because it stays kind of liquidy all, you know what I mean?
Things like I don't use, I bought, matter of fact, from Texas Bee Supply, right when I first got my bees, I bought some pollen sub, and it's still sitting there. Matter of fact, I think the bugs have gotten into it. I made a few of them, and I said, that's just too much trouble. I don't really need it here. We got this one thing we have is pollen. No.
Right.
But,
well,
you know, maybe I could use
it. What pollen sub did you get?
Oh, it was, what's the big one? Like Dayton or somebody sells it.
Man Lake, you mean that Ultra B?
Yeah, something. I think it was what it was. It was something that they had bought in a big thing and put into individual little Ziploc bags.
Doug.
But anyway, I don't need that, and I don't feed any fondant of any kind, and I haven't done Apis Biologics either. But that'll make Charlie mad because,
well, I mean,
I just don't need it. As far as I know.
Well, I mean, the thing is,
if I was selling nukes every year, I would try it.
So here's the thing.
I mean, as far as I can, you know, I was caught off guard this spring with the amount of bees that Apis Biologics helped produce. But
Doug caught us in the
what
middle of
I've
the-
learned over the years, and especially the last couple years, is, and I'm sure Doug can say this because he's a commercial beekeeper, you got to have that hive busting with bees, especially with foragers,
Yeah.
in order to make a good crop of honey. The more bees you got in the hive, the more production and everything. And
Or if you don't have a huge flow, they may just eat everything they bring in if they get too big too. So
I don't know
but I
about
don't
that.
know.
But I mean, what I was getting at is that I've learned. This is my observation. You put honey supers on. If you have a honey super that is completely covered with bees, let's say across the top bars, they'll make a solid super of honey for you.
Right.
If you have a honey super that's got, let's say, a cluster size of about 6 frames in the middle with bees all over, it'll make a half a box of honey. If you have a box of a super that the bees are on the sides of the frames, but they're not on top of the bars, covering it, as far as population, that hive will not hardly make any honey. And now it also depends on how much forage you have, but I've looked at that, observation, and I'm like, I want those supers full of bees, which are, I guess you might say, the numbers of foragers there, in order to foragers and receivers, because the foragers come back, give it to the other bees, and then they pass it on and store it and everything.
Do you worry about them swarming though if they get too strong too early?
Well, what I do is that's what the thing. I go down, there's, for me, I don't know how I know like like Brad and all them, once they put the supers on, they don't really fool with that hive anymore, and they don't seem to have a problem swarming. But also you got to remember where they live at and what their time frame is as far as honey production. Where mine is April, May, and June, right in the middle of honey production, and it's the same time it's swarm season for me. Mm-hmm. So I go into that bottom brood box and I pull half of the cat brood out, and I put empties in for her and put those honey supers back on, and then I have a brood box up on top where I store those brood frames, where I shook all the bees off, and the bees will draw up to those brood frames, cover them up, and hatch them out. And then I cycle those frames from the top to the bottom, and I don't have any swarm cells because she's constantly laying.
Yeah.
How you doing, Doug? Good to see you again.
All right. To produce honey, you want to manage your hives to the point of swarming. They have to be strong.
Right.
Yeah. And basically my hives, and to give you a visual of effect, is the fact that when you open them up, you can't see the frames because there's so many bees. And if you can maintain that through the honey production, is like Doug says, you're right on the edge of swarming.
Yeah.
And for me in Maryland, the average is 50 pounds of honey per hive because of the forage. I've boosted that this year. The year before, I basically got 100 pounds of honey and I didn't have any problems. And the weather conditions were perfect per se. This year, I had about 4 queens go down on me right in the middle of the flow, the main flow. I had to drop nukes in there and try to recover as quick as possible. And I averaged 80 pounds per hive, but still did well. And that kind of thing. So that's why I do it. When I see these amount of bees, and I'm looking and this is the last week of March, and it's like, man, I mean, I got bee power here, and if you can maintain that bee power over the next 3 months, things are great.
Yeah, I mean, if you could, in my area, if you can get your bees to middle of May without swarming, then the flow is kicked in. They usually won't swarm when the flow's already kicked in. but but all of April is just crazy with, swarms in our area. Sometimes, plus I think it's some of the genetics, is those feral genetics tend to swarm more anyway. They don't seem like they have to be that big to swarm.
Yeah, like I say, that's the thing that I learned.
I just try to catch them and put them back in another box.
Yeah, there's honey. It's like race car driving on the edge of the outer.
Out of control.
And I can't really be chasing a lot of swarms here in the little neighborhood. I don't need these swarms. Matter of fact, I saw one leave last year, and I was like, just don't land close by, so they won't know it's me. Go several blocks before you land.
Yeah. So now, Doug, when you and your son, you've got 600 hives and all, and of course now you got, like this year you had sweet clover, and do you have canola is where you get a lot of your honey from too?
Yeah, the country's yellow around here, Charlie.
Okay, so it's pretty much a canola country. So now from what I seen of James, it's probably the same way with you, that canola comes in like a freight train of comes in so heavy of a flow. And it's, how long does it last? Maybe 3 weeks or so, something like that.
It kind of depends on the year. This year it was hot and dry, so it was a shorter season.
So a couple weeks maybe.
Yeah, and then it depends on the farmers around you. Some seed, this week, some a week later, so it spreads it out sometimes. Like last night, you referred to James and some of us here. We got colonies around 1,200 acres.
Right.
More like 12,000 acres, probably. Like the country's yellow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing. Well, I mean, the one field where James had his, he had about 50 hives there on the side. I think he said there was, I'll say, it was so many sections and whatever, which I forget how many acres is in a section, but it was like 1,200. Huh?
640.
Is it 640 for a section?
Yeah.
I thought it was like 160 or something like that, but I guess not.
That's a quarter section.
That's a quarter section.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's whole section, quarter section, and then there's section, quarter section, and what's the biggest one? I guess you might. Isn't that a square mile?
Well, a section's a square mile, yeah.
Okay, a section's a square mile. Okay.
And the sections are divided into fours, like 4 quarters.
4 quarters. Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, I guess what I'm getting at is like where you're at, you've got so much feed that it's coming in, and there's a balance between the amount of feed coming in and the amount of, the hive and the amount of bees and stuff in there. And
July explodes here, right? That's
right.
When our honey comes.
Yeah. Well, see, July, I'm done,
Yeah, we're done in July.
And all, but, so when you go out there in July, you're down in a single brood chamber management, and then you got several, let's say 2 or 3 supers on top of that for your supers. You don't go back out there and like me digging down in the bottom or anything like that. You just, you let those hives go and they pack it out and you're done. More or less, right?
We're not single management. We're used to, but
two.
Honey supers. If we've got strong hives, we'll produce 4 to 5 supers of honey off of each hive.
And they're deep boxes, right?
Yeah. Yep.
So you got a double brood. You got two deep boxes as your brood chamber, plus another 5 boxes on top of that.
Sometimes 5. 4 is probably pretty normal.
4 is average. 4, 5,
Yeah.
4, 5. You got 6 deeps tall. I mean, they are huge skyscrapers.
Yeah.
And hopefully you don't get any wind out there and knock them over.
You can go to Longman Apiaries on Facebook. You can see some of the yards there.
Yeah, I know. You're watching even Ian, with some of his tall You know, it's just, you know, for us, that's huge, you know.
Yeah.
And
When you
all
guys
that.
were talking swarm control, like our swarm control is from the time we take the wraps off in the spring up
Yeah.
until the honey supers go on. Like we'll control with splits and making nukes. Once the honey supers go on, there's no more swarm control. And we will have swarms, not a lot, I don't think, but they'll swarm July, August, maybe even the odd one into September, but not a lot.
Yeah, there's Brad. He had 6 deeps tall.
Yeah.
No wonder you need a crane, you know, in order to, yeah, I mean, you get, you know, I get on mine, I'll have 2 mediums and I'll have 4 or 5 mediums on top. And one year in the past, you know, I had to get up on the stand in order to get up, you know, to put that box up top. And it's, you know, if it's a heavy box, a full box, it's like, man, you know, something else. But yeah, you see your season's different and your management, it's you're managing the same problems, but maybe in a different way, and all that kind of thing. Because I so let's see, if your flow is coming in July, now when is it over? August or September?
It'll be over early August.
Really?
Yeah.
So you only have, let's say, 4 or 5 weeks worth of honey, and that's it?
We'll get about the last week, maybe 10 days of June. We'll get July. And then depending on the crops, if there's late canola, we'll get 1 to 2 weeks in August probably. That's the main flow there.
So you got about 6 weeks. You got all of July and maybe, let's say, the first 2 weeks of August, and then and it's all over for you.
Yeah, it's 6 weeks is probably the peak flow. Yeah.
It's, yeah, and all that. So ours is about double, I guess you would say, but it's also earlier. But now,
Yeah.
what, like you're saying, you're controlling the swarm impulse up to that, to where you're splitting or pulling off brood and making nukes and whatever.
Yeah, like once the honey supers go on, when you don't have time to go around and really look at swarm control, you're busy then.
Do you have them swarming on you through the flow or not?
I picked up about 4 swarms this year, I think, and probably another 4 we missed. Maybe there was more than that.
Right.
But when you got multiple yards, they might be gone before you ever see them too.
Right.
Right. But I'll tell you what, I think having some swarms is overall can be healthy. If you're not manually replacing your queens every year, that swarm might keep your, you know, colonies viable, because if you prevent them from swarming and then you don't requeen, then you've got an old queen the next year.
Yeah. But on another thought of that is, this is my thought of it, is, all right, they have a powerful nectar flow coming in to the point where all their foragers and their bees are constantly busy gathering. So they don't have that desire, I guess you might say, of the swarm, or at least that's what I'm gathering. It diminishes that type of impulse.
Yeah, I know in my area, the swarming that happens is like a week or 2 before the big flow, not during. You can get into the flow, you're usually okay, but about middle of April, it's game. They know, the bees know what's coming, it seems like, because a year ago, I didn't hardly catch any swarms, but it was a drought year and it never did rain enough. So the bees, I think, know that it's not, you know, or maybe they know that, maybe when they say the nectar's here, okay, the nectar's out there, guys, let's leave and we'll be able to survive, because they've already went out and checked it out.
Yeah. But So, I mean, you know, it's like you say, I'll continue doing what I do. It works for me. So, you know, everybody, and that's the thing about our beekeeping and where we all live at. We all have different weather. You know, you're living in more of a desert area, Phil, and I live, I don't know,
At
a mid,
times.
you know, East Coast, moderate weather. I do have cold weather. Now, Bob lives on the East Coast, but south where he doesn't have the cold weather like I have. And he also has hive beetles because he's in a sandy ground where I'm in more of a clay. And then with Doug, he's out in quote in the Midwest because he's right north of North Dakota and all that. He's sort of in the, I guess you would call it the plain states of Canada.
Yeah,
Doug,
prairie. They
prairie, you know, plains or prairie.
Yeah.
And
Alberta.
and then of course with the tremendous, you know, canola, whereas, you know, it is ideal for beekeeping in the area because it's so great.
What we did was, we get our honey flow, then we get our summer winter when there's nothing coming in, then we get a fall flow, a little one, and then we get winter. There's nothing coming in. So if you're not on point with taking your supers off, whatever you leave there, they're just going to eat when the nectar shuts off, right? So you got to be on, your timing's got to be right getting it off, and then you got to give them some feed to make it to when you start seeing that pollen coming back in, and then you stop, and hopefully they fill some boxes up for winter, and that's struggle.
Doug,
yeah.
Do you keep your bees inside in the winter, Doug, or do you?
No, they're wintered outside. They're wintered outside.
I want to talk Brad into leaving 20 colonies outside and see what happens. See what is.
Well, Doug's he wraps his, or do you put them together and
yeah, we have 4 hives sitting on a pallet. We push them together, wrap them, put a top on them.
That's what Mike does. Mike.
Now, Doug, are you using 4-way pallets out there? You say you're pushing them together. Like, I mean, Ian does 2-way pallets and no, Brad does.
I've got some 2-way, but most of them are just single hives on a ordinary pallet.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So is that pallet like a 4x4 4-foot by 4-foot pallet?
Yeah.
And you got 1 hive on that pallet.
We got 4 on it.
4 on it.
Yeah.
Okay. And then you put
then you see that, Brad? We're gonna have to start a GoFundMe. Brad wants me to risk my own money, not his.
So anyway, what I'm getting at is you have 1 pallet with 4 hives on it, and then you put that pallet next to another pallet?
No.
No.
We'll separate the hives on that pallet a few inches between each one so they have good ventilation through the summer. Then this time of year, we slide all 4 tight together and then wrap the 4 all together. And it's an insulated wrap, and there's an insulated top goes on it.
Well, now, like Ian and them, they have those pallet clips, so you don't have your hives on pallet clips then. Are they individual bottom boards?
Yeah. No clips or anything on those. No, they're just individual hives.
Okay, with individual.
I do have a few 2-way pallets that we use, but the bulk of everything's on the 4x4 pallet.
And then I guess you keep them at the same yard. You don't really move them around, I guess, right?
Yeah, they pretty well stay there. The home yard where we have our honey house, I have some hives there that I play with. That's where I make my queens. If we need, lose a hive on a pallet or something, we'll steal one from this yard and fill in the empty spots that way.
Right. Yeah, I see what you're. Yeah, then I guess you do your queen rearing right at the home yard or whatever.
Yeah.
Kind of like what Brad does and stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
We don't like very many hives at the home yard. Like when it comes time to start bringing honey in, you don't need bees bothering you on the truck or into the honey house.
Right. And how many hives you usually run at the house then? A dozen or so or less?
I think well, this year we probably got more than ever. I counted 32 there the other day.
Okay. And then you got what I know you tried to show us your extraction room. Didn't you say you had a cow in it? Is that what you're running?
Yeah, it was
Extractor?
a 60 frame cow in there.
60 frame cow. Basically like Ian has, I guess.
Yeah.
Same type of setup
Yeah.
and all. Now, do you have a spin float or something? You were talking about that. You were either doing something different or something.
No, we have a wax press.
Okay.
It's underneath the uncapper.
Oh, like the curly Q thing?
Yeah.
Yeah. How do you, isn't that kind of a slow type of thing there?
Well, it can more than keep up. We could probably run double the capacity through ours that we are, and it would keep up.
Right.
It doesn't
Mhm.
like it doesn't get rid of all of the wax. From there, we pump into a big, well, it's a water jacketed tank that it'll hold about 16 barrels, I think, is what it holds, and we'll use the settling in there for the final separation.
So that way your wax fines will float to the top, and then you can pull off from the bottom, and then your honey's clean.
Yeah. Yeah. It has a hole on the top, and this time of year we'll go in. There'll be about 6-8 inches of wax that is settled to the bottom. We'll take that out of there during the winter here.
So you'll drain that tank, I guess it sounds like to me.
Yeah, it's drained right now.
So you'll drain it down, and you got about 6 inches of wax, which will be, I guess it's going to be sticky and wet.
It's not very wet. It's like we let it sit till where the honey, it's pretty well gone out of it, and you just bring it out in a few big cakes and throw it in a barrel.
Okay, you put it in like a bucket or whatever. How big is this tank? It's got to be tall. And is it tall or long, like a milk tank?
It's on a stand. We can put a barrel underneath it for filling. And
Yeah.
it'll hold, I think it's 16 barrels of honey, I think, if we fill it right to the top. So it's a fair size, yeah.
Yeah. Hey, Lynn. Yeah.
Our area down there is real poor cell service. If it was better, I could take you on a tour through there, but
yeah.
You can go on to Longman Acres. You can see the setup on there. But
right. All right. So just go to longmanacres.com and
yeah,
that's
on YouTube, not .com, just on YouTube.
On YouTube. Okay. Yeah. I'm gonna write that down.
There's a few little videos there. I'm not an expert like some of these guys, but you can get the idea.
None of us are. I mean, I'm
not afraid to admit it. That's the problem.
Well, really for me, I've only really been doing this for not quite about a year and a half, something like that.
Yeah, but I mean, you got guys like Ian that come in the chat, and you have to be willing to listen to other people's ideas. Doesn't mean you have to take them, but like who is it? Craig Branch, right?
I enjoyed him, but he's not. I guess he's been working or whatever.
And a few years ago, he saw a video of mine where I had a wax block in my pocket, and I'd pull a plastic foundation out and I'd rub the wax block on, and I learned that from my mentor, right? It was just something that I started doing. And then he said, I've been keeping bees over 20 years and I never thought about doing that. Just keep one. He said, now he keeps one in his pocket. That's right. First step is admit you have a problem. Live stream addiction. We're gonna start a chat for live stream addiction.
Yeah, that and beekeeping. But
You can
for me, the live
you can
stream
learn,
is a group of good friends and everything, you know.
you can learn
So
something
Al,
from everybody.
yeah,
Absolutely.
and it doesn't matter what level you are. I mean, it's like well, it was like when Bob called James out there. You know, it's like, well, we don't know your area, but we know the basics of beekeeping, and you just sort of apply those different fundamentals, and it more or less works.
But I
You
was
just have to-
willing to shut everything off that I had done previously and listen to what he was saying. Right. And it's made a difference in my apiary for sure. So, and a lot of the stuff I already knew. It was just a confirmation of, hey, let's do this, let's try that. And, of course, James always had a disclaimer. Now, if it were me, this is what I would do, but I'm not telling you to do it because your bees might die. I'm like, if I was worried about that, I wouldn't even have called you, right? So
Where did it go to? There it is.
great, Lynn. I'm excited to see everybody's results.
Yeah, me and Lynn been
We
talking
are the
about it.
studies that everybody's talking about, guys.
Yeah, well, Lynn did a wash and everything. But we've been texting each other and all that about them. Sort of doing an experiment.
That's what I expect everybody to do. And it's fine. I mean, I'm just showing, like, when I got them, they were given to me. I said that on the live stream, and I tried them, and I had a great result. That's what I showed, and I thought it was good enough for me to start carrying in my store, so I did, and I told everybody that as well. So that's it. Different point of view.
Yeah. So, Alex, what's happening? The king of cream.
The king of cream.
I'm finally done building the top installations, so I started a second batch of habanero honey because this and the cinnamon sold very well. So that's what I'm.
The habanero, isn't that a kind of a hot honey or something?
Yes, habanero is a hot pepper. So it's mixing. Well, it's done for now. I mixed it for 15 minutes, and I stopped it. And at 10:23 local time, I'll start it again in another 15 minutes, and so on until it's screamed.
And your your mixer's doing good for you?
Oh yes, gear driven is the way to go.
Well, I'm glad you said it had a what do you call it? A half speed setting for you, which makes it even better, I presume. As far as mixing, not whipping too much air into it or whatever.
It's not perfect. It does, if you leave it running too long, it does put some air in it because it's not meant for this. But the half speed has better results than the other one that I had that was belt driven. It whipped in a lot more air. So I kind of solved two problems with this new mixer.
That's good. Yeah.
Now the thing is, do I bother making the other kinds like blueberry and cacao? Like they taste very good, I think, but for some reason they don't sell anywhere as well. So maybe I should just make a half batch of each.
Well, send me a sample of each of them, and I'll give you my unbiased opinion on.
I can imagine I can imagine your kind of opinion.
My wife actually told me today. She said, "You got too much honey." I got honey for, like, so many different honeys from so many different people. I've got jars everywhere. She's like, "You got too much honey. Stop getting honey." I've said, "I'm not asking for." Well, I did just ask for honey, but I haven't in the past, right? And I just acquire a lot of honey. People come up and visit me, and they're like, "Hey, I brought you a jar of honey." They will sell during the
to the U.S.
Why not?
Yeah, it is. Sure, you
It
can.
is.
I would think it's
I
food
don't know.
product.
That should
It's-
go across.
Okay.
But you put see, you get your slow sellers, and then you make a Christmas package that's got 3 different types in it, and you put your slow seller in there, and then the good ones to get your slow
And
seller
you
gone.
just
In the
charge for the. That's a good idea.
then you get
That's
rid of
pretty
the
smart.
ones that are selling slow.
So I've been thinking of the kind of tools I would need to make the swirl honey. There's the squishy thing. I forgot the actual term. I researched it, and I think there's stuffing syringes I could use to make swirling color honey.
I think if you let it get near almost set up and put it in one of those, they make these things that look like a caulking gun, but they're like a cookie shooter.
That's what I meant.
And you just squeeze it and it pushes it out, right? And it can be much thicker.
Yeah, it's like a cookie thing, but it's got like 4 chambers in it.
Yep. And then you can just turn the jar as you go to make a nice little swirl color in there. But it's got to be almost set.
I know. I think for the cookies, like if you wanted to make a Christmas cookie with a little green in the center, maybe a little bit of red fruit coloring off to the left or something like that, kind of like what is it? Green leaves or whatever with a red part for the bow. You can squeeze that out and it'll make that cookie. And I would think if you'd have to experiment with your creamed honey to get your.
You might end up with a bunch of black
like
honey.
the pouch, there's a squeezable pouch with a
nozzle.
That seems a bit messy for at least for honey.
Yep.
But
You'd want
the caulking gun for pastries that Bob spoke of, that's probably I'm gonna have to look up the name of the device.
One.
Have you got some type of a restaurant, or not a restaurant store, but confectionery type of supply house in your area?
Well, there's Amazon, and there might be one. I didn't check, but there's a retailer similar to Costco, but they're more axed on they have more emphasis on food products than Costco does. I might go there and see if they have what I need.
I almost.
Yeah, I always like to look at the product and in hand and you can see something in while you're right there and say, well, that's going to work or that's not going to work type of thing.
You would want to chill it as soon as you fill your jar. Run it at about a 55-degree temperature and it would set quick.
I almost bought one of those mixers last time I was at Sam's. They were like immediately when you walk in, those KitchenAid mixers were right there. I was like, nope, not going to do it yet. Not going to do it yet. But I'll get.
You got to do this peanut butter. I got to get a hold of Carl. Carl said he would send me a jar of that peanut butter. I think you got. It's amazing.
I had to move the jar off my desk because I would have probably had the whole thing gone by now. Maybe.
Can I show my KitchenAid mixer creamed honey that somebody in the chat said you can't really see it real well, but
yeah, hold on.
It turned out pretty good for a KitchenAid mixer. You can tell I've been
digging on it.
Oh yeah, I have been. And I'm gonna try it for all you guys. Watch how good this is. Look at that. Good.
It's like ice cream.
Yeah, it's good. KitchenAid mixer. Huh? First try.
That's what Alex has got.
So
yeah, I don't even know that.
Hey, Darren,
I don't have that slow setting that Alex has.
Charlie.
Yeah.
I noticed, I think it was Brian at Flower Street Farm said he just subscribed to Doug. So I looked up Doug's channel. Doug, are you DGL at DGL 1948?
Yeah, sometimes I'm guilty.
So Doug had 4 subscribers when I went in. So we need to fix that up for him.
Oh, I don't need.
All right, let me go. Let's see. It's a YouTube channel.
That's just for my own references why I post it there so I can compare
right.
year to year.
We got to load you up a little bit on subscribers.
Hey,
I'll
Darren,
subscribe to him.
how do you make, like, how do you proceed to make your creamed honey with your KitchenAid mixer? I mean, may as well ask.
I don't use it. Oh, Darren
Talk
or
to me.
Doug?
Darren,
Oh,
Okay.
I just added like a creamed honey that I got from Better Bee, and that was like 10% of, I think I did 6 pounds. So I forget whatever the ounces are. And I just put 10% of that in, and I just mixed it real slow. I did it 4 mixes for 15 minutes for the first 2 days. So basically 4 times a day for 2 days. And then that was it. I jarred it the third day. And then 2 days later, it was like set up. I they say put it in like 55-degree temperatures, which my basement's more like 65. So I put it in a cooler and I set it outside because it was in the low 60s outside. So it turned out all right.
okay, I don't have a cool place except maybe for my fridge, but that might be too cold.
Yeah, it might be, but outside, I don't know.
What I use, we have a deep freeze, and I hook a Ronco thermostat up to it, and I run the deep freeze at 55 degrees. But I do about 45 gallons at a time in it.
Doug, how does that Lyson honey sump pump you have work? Is it pretty good?
Yeah.
I've been eyeballing those, but $2,300 is.
Yeah, we had to use that when we were shipping to China.
That's a,
Okay,
yeah, it
thanks.
looks almost identical
Brian.
to Ian's setup there. Looks like the same line, pretty much.
Yeah. Yeah, the only difference.
Is there any way to bring that up, Bob? Can you know how to do that?
No, I can do it.
Bring up the extraction line. Let's look at that.
And hold on, I'll make it big for everyone. And let me back it. I don't have the sound on though, so I don't think.
No, you don't.
If you want to make it, well, this is fine. They can hear us. I'll move that off there. So
Whose channel is this?
this is Doug's.
Oh, is it? Okay, cool.
Yeah, Doug's big time commercial.
Not big time. Small time.
You're big time. You got a cow and you're big time.
You're big time to us for sure.
What's that
such a
right
nice
there?
extraction line.
That's a honey pump, I guess.
Yeah.
That's the Lyson honey sump and pump right there, that red handle. That's what I was just asking him about.
All right, there's your
Extruder.
corkscrew extruder.
Yeah.
All right, so your honey's coming out of your turn that back there, Bob, and freeze it.
Where, right here?
Yeah, start right there. All right, we'll stop it right there. All right, now you got the uncapper there, and then the uncappings and whatever wax is dripping out of that uncapping tank goes through the screw, Doug.
Yep.
And then
Wax
wax is coming out the end.
Yeah.
And then there's a honey goes through a grate, I guess, down below that.
Yeah, it's a kind of a filter.
And then does that pump over to the other tank or something?
It drains into the sump coming between. It's in the sump in between the.
Right here.
The press and the extractor.
All right, I think I see a pipe right there on the bottom.
Yeah, it comes down here and it's into the bottom here.
Okay.
And from there, it pumps up to the top of the building and over into the next room.
All right, now you got that slump air.
Yeah.
So you got honey coming from the press on the one side. I guess that's a baffle in the middle.
Yeah.
And then there's a pipe coming in from the extractor there.
Yeah.
So then there's a baffle between those two walls, and it cleans it as much as possible, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then when the honey gets up here, it gets pumped out.
Okay. And then you got a hot air operated push cylinder to push your frames in.
Yeah.
All right, go ahead.
It's the same as Ian's, other than his is a crank and this one uses an air cylinder to push it.
Right. And then you got 2 frame racks like Ian does.
Yeah, that's
One
where
for
your
the top
empties
and one
get
for the
pushed out.
bottom.
Huh?
One for the top of the extractor and one for the other side, right? So it's 60.
Now you just slide it sideways and grab, the frames
Yeah,
come up
it's on
on
a
the top and they push it through and push it into that.
But each side
Yeah.
holds 30 frames.
Yeah. Right.
it's on a roller. It just slides back and forth.
Just a few boxes there, Doug. Couple boxes.
Yeah, there's a few of them.
That building looks new, Doug.
It's probably 8 or 10 years old now.
Really? No, I mean, it really looks spick and span.
Is the
Yeah, it's
how often-
inspected, so we have to keep it clean.
how often do you have to change out this black tub for your curly fries there?
Probably twice a day. That'll fill with wax.
So that's your daughter-in-law's there, I guess?
No,
Or just
just
hired help?
a couple of the neighbor girl, and the one her husband used to work for us, and she
Now,
comes and
what
helps every now and
are we doing? Coming back in here the same way, or okay, we're just showing. All right, there he goes. They lock it in and push it out.
And then they spin it over and do the
See how
other-
she slid that over, and then she locks it in, and then she hits the button, I guess.
and she's reloading as she's pushing those out, right? So she's pushing
Yeah,
out fresh
you're-
frames and pushing
She's
those.
loading 30 frames in and pushing 30 frames out into that hopper.
I could do one rotation and do my whole apiary at one time. 60 frames done. Go home for the day. Go home for the year, really. Just clean it up and go home. You're done until next season.
And then she flips it, I guess.
Just gotta unlock it. She'll flip it over and repeat the process, right?
just the weight of the honey turns it over.
Now I have a question that I always see, like on people using those extractors. They always spin the rack and then close the door. Is that you have to do that, or is that just something that people get in the habit of doing and do it?
It's just easier for the motor to get it turning.
I got
Helping that motor.
Yeah.
Yeah, the startup on amperage on the motor is the hardest part on it.
Brad says I wouldn't get any honey out of the end. It wouldn't fill up enough to pump out. It'd be
Wouldn't prime the pump.
Yeah.
That's probably right.
I'd spend more time cleaning the pumps and everything out of the honey because it wouldn't pump out. I do like that automatic setup there with the push.
Yeah, look at that.
She should just carry a box over there and pull 9 frames and be done.
But they don't look like they're getting like really like overworked at this point, you know. They're not like
She does carry a box over there, Charlie. The only thing is, when you're 30, you're done. You're putting 9 in a box, so you have an odd number in some of the boxes. So
Okay, now here she goes spinning.
hit the button and it starts up.
And about that time, that thing's slinging honey out on the floor, I guess.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering when I watched like Ian's videos. I was like, that thing seems like it'd be slinging honey out.
no, it's not spinning fast enough to throw it at that speed yet. But it unloads it in a hurry once it gets up to speed. About
Yeah,
10 minutes probably.
I did think that Ian says for his system it takes about a barrel to prime his whole system up, right? But he's got the heat exchange and all that. All those lines have honey filled up in them, right?
Yeah.
So that wouldn't surprise me that it took that many. But you gained me as a sub there, Doug.
Yep.
So every time you put a video, I'll get a notification now. And you're up to 15 subs, so
Wow.
Doubled your
Yeah.
channel size just like that. Look there.
Yeah,
Next week you'll have live streams and have guests.
so I'm on your channel now. So you farm too?
No, I help my son-in-law every now and then. I'm a combine pilot too.
Okay. I see where you're using. Well, I guess that's canola. No, is that wheat? That's wheat.
That's wheat. Yeah.
Yeah. So you swath it.
Yeah.
And use a pickup head. So
Yeah.
is that because you guys can't get it ripe? You can't go to full term to get it ripe?
No, lots of guys straight cut too, but my son-in-law prefers to swath it.
Yeah.
The ground land's a little uneven where he is, so you'll have some low swaths that are maybe a little on the greener side. If you swath it, everything ripens up then.
So what kind of combine you got there? Looks like a New Holland or something.
Yeah, it's a New Holland.
Okay.
There should be one of those videos that shows one of the bee yards with the stacks of supers, Charlie.
Early July Hive Check 2023, that one?
Yeah, it could be.
Or June?
That's when they were starting to put them on. In June.
Yeah, it'll be July. You'll get this, see what some of the higher stacks when we're working.
Go ahead and put it up, Bob.
Holy smokes.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 on them.
That's the home yard? Or is that another yard?
No, that's just one of the other yards.
I think one of them pallets, just about maybe 2, has every box I own. How many I got?
There's our pellets, Charlie. You see how the 4 hives on a pellet?
And you got a regular, it looks like a regular bottom. Yeah, you got a regular bottom board on there. I'm surprised that you're doing it that way.
Well, they leave them outside. They don't bring them back in, so they don't have to move them.
Yeah, they stay on. We added supers after this. Those aren't the top of the line there yet.
High dollar refractometer there.
Our honey was dry this year, really dry.
That's how you. That's the true test right there.
Yeah, taste that.
Then you just hit a button and it gives you a digital readout of the moisture content, Doug, in that refractometer.
Yeah, it works good. We take a reading on every barrel we fill to average it out.
I see you got your pollen sub dispenser there.
Yeah. I
wouldn't think you would need that in your area.
Ian does it too. He pops it out there. He just rips the bags open.
We use it early in the spring. The bees will really go after it in the spring.
Man, look at how wide that frame is. That's where all mine should be like that.
We were surprised that it was dry and being capped as early as it was here. Everything was about 2 weeks early to what a normal year is for us this year.
So was it 18% or less? Now he's going to clean it there with these lick tests.
Most of our honey was just over the 15 and a half this year. Like it was really dry.
He's going to gain 20 pounds just testing all the honey in the yard. Bob has 300 hives. Bob checks honey moisture contents on every hive. What does Bob have? Diabetes. That's what Bob has. Oh, my goodness. But I imagine
we had
I've never farmed.
We had a real. we had a real early sweet clover crop. The whole countryside, anything that wasn't farmland, there was clover on it. So everything come in early this year. It caught us unawares. By the end of June, we had 2 boxes pretty well full of honey, which is not really the norm.
How does he account for the offset of his tongue moisture in the honey?
Yeah, we calculate that in too.
It's a standard one standard deviation. Look at that.
Look at that.
And it's still waist high, over waist high on him. Holy moly.
Yeah, that one was right full then.
So now why, just out of curiosity, why would you not just start pulling boxes off now and shortening your stack and giving them up, building back up boxes?
We did start pulling shortly after that.
Now, do you usually give them more boxes to start filling back up at that point, or?
Yeah, we'll get a good second crop. The second pull will be just about as big as the first pull.
So how many barrels do you produce a year on average?
We're around 100 barrels, give or take, usually.
And that's what 630 some pounds a barrel.
Yeah,
640, I think it is 630.
So
yeah,
around 35,000 pounds.
No, we're usually about 60,000 to 70,000 pounds of honey.
Well, there's my bee math off again. I was calculating that the mileage for the kilometers, and Doug's like, yeah, I think your bee math is wrong. It was about 22 miles to the gallons, but it ended up being.
I would like your first number.
Well, I can see why you had to buy that hive lifter.
All right, I'm not going to say much right now, but I will say this, Doug. It's July, right? You still have road salt on your vehicle there.
No, that's just road dust.
That's just road dust.
Yeah, they don't have paved roads out there.
That's gravel road. We winter outside, so a yard like this is a good yard. You notice all the trees all around, so it's sheltered really good. That's a real plus when you're wintering out.
I guess really the rest of the area is completely just wide open, no trees at all.
Right around that yard.
Well, I mean, if you're driving down the highway, is it just?
No, we're in
flat ground.
We're in what they call it parkland. There's a good number of trees and bush around, but that yard right there, there's a section of canola to the south of it. There's a section of canola to the west of it. There's a half a section of canola to the north of it, right in the immediate vicinity.
Now, are those canola farmers, they're well aware, obviously you've been doing this a long time, but they're well aware there's apiaries within distance from them? Are they pretty good at communicating with you that, hey, we're going to do this or do that to our crops? That might affect
you register your yard sites for the aerial sprayers, but we had one yard killed last year by an aerial sprayer.
That's
so they do a lot of crop dusting.
Yeah. We don't like the aerial sprayers. There's a lot of drift from them.
Right. Well, that was real interesting.
you got everybody.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I'm running the show by myself.
Seems like you get all the Saturdays.
Well, my brother went away. This is really nice. I really like your mixing machine here. Him and his wife went to the horse congress out there in Ohio. So, he's off this week, which was just being my hired guy. And then I'll run the half a day tomorrow by myself, and then I'm off for a day.
You're about going to start the honey.
Huh? Then I'll go up and, oh, you got to go stir the honey. Okay. Did insurance get compensate you on your bee kill, Doug?
No, there's no insurance for that.
So did you go after the bee sprayer or the crop sprayer or anything like that?
No, there's not much we can do. Like the farmers have to make a living too. So
yeah, well, trying to work together is a big thing.
We ask them, if you're going to spray, do it very early in the morning or late at night if you can. We don't usually have too big a problem.
Mm-hmm. So Darren, what's happening?
Not much. Put in my AP tablets there, Bob. 2 days ago. I'm going to go out tomorrow and see what happens. I think I have one hive that has like parasitic mite syndrome. It's pretty well infested. So I'm doing like a treatment of Apivar, and I'm using oxalic acid. Then I put Bob's tablets in. So hopefully that'll.
So you got a heavy mite load, is what you're saying?
Yeah.
If you're gonna, a real good quick knockdown would be oxalic acid.
I've been doing that. I've been doing treatments, and plus I got Bob's and I got Apivar. So I figured,
nuking them.
Too late for that. I mean,
I look at it like when you start doing stuff like that, it's like a Hail Mary pass, right? It's like game's pretty much over for that colony already. You're just trying to see if you can bring it back from the dead. Which luckily,
but it's laying. The queen's starting to lay. She actually quit laying for a few weeks. Actually, there was hardly anything in that hive. I was surprised. It's funny how that can just, they say that, everybody says this too when you start beekeeping. Oh, I can just tell what my hives are doing just by looking at the landing board. That is like so not true, because I've been watching that hive and I thought it was strong, and then it wasn't strong at all. And it had no stores in it, no eggs, no nothing, no brood. And I finally, when I opened it up, I saw like what was going on, just all kinds of like spotty brood, and they were actually kind of like cannibalizing away at the larvae. And it was kind of heartbreaking, because that's like one of my favorite hives. Real nice hive. But anyway, I'm gonna see what happens with it. I'll find out tomorrow.
So basically, you had a queen. You got your queen as toast in that hive.
I mean, she's in there. I found her. I thought for a while it was actually queenless, but she's in there. So hopefully she'll start laying again. Because
mine stopped laying, and I figured it was probably a week away from absconding, that it was just going to take off. And then it just flipped around when I put the tablet in there, and the mice dropped, and I think it was a combination between the tablet and the bottom board, right? For the beetles to get out of there and the mites to drop. All of a sudden they had less stressors in there, and she started laying up a pattern. And fast forward 2 weeks, and now there's 4 or 5 frames of brood in there. And I'm going to try to go out there tomorrow, if I've got time, to check it and see what they look like now. So
that's what I'll do tomorrow too. The only problem here is I got like 1 month pretty much left. It's already dropping down into the 50s. So
right,
if I don't get it, if something doesn't start happening by the end of October, then it's probably done. So anyway, that's the life of a beekeeper, I guess. Even if you only have 10 hives, you don't have time for 10 hives.
Right.
You never have enough time.
Hey, Carl.
Charlie, earlier on, you were talking about one of your hives, a 5-on-5, and you found a bunch of dead bees in the bottom, and you figured it starved. Had it been robbed out? That sounds like it's been robbed to me.
I don't know. It's the only hive in the whole group. And so yeah, I don't know. There was like you say, the bottom board was full of bees. Maybe it was. Maybe that's what the problem was. I would have,
Yeah, that's what it sounds like to me anyway.
I know that in the last week or so, I put in entrance reducers because of the darn yellow jackets and stuff to keep, to help them guard their hive.
Yeah.
And, this was a strong hive. I mean, there's still bees in there, but now it's just down to one box. But I also noticed, like you said, it didn't have any honey in it at all. But I didn't see, how when they rob out, they kind of tear the combs and stuff and all. I didn't see that really happening either. So I'm kind of out of mystery on that one. Then I came back later and there was still a little bit more left dying in there. I'm like, what is going on? So I don't know. The rest, they all got feeders on them now, and I did put a feeder on that one, and it put a lot of feed in the frames, but I didn't want to overfeed it to where she didn't have a place to lay either. So I took that off for a while, and so I kind of keep an eye on it right now. So what do we got? A new gadget?
Oh, it's my tripod that everybody was complaining that I needed a tripod. So look, it even came in a nice case. I believe, is this the one you got, Brad? You go? No. Feels pretty stout in here. But so trying to up the game. Oh, look at that! Is that ever nice? For $29, it's got a.
Yeah, mine were definitely not $29. So definitely, bit different there. That was Lee's recommendation I followed, and it was a good one. It seemed like nice tripod.
Stuff, but Lee's not afraid to spend some money.
Well, you know what? I think the tripod I had before I got this one was even more money, so I think it was a reasonable compromise.
Brad, you look like you got a nice tripod. I saw that on Amazon. I might get one of those.
That black one?
The one you just got.
Yeah, it is really nice. I actually bought two, the same manufacturer, but they're kind of different style.
Got a carrying handle.
The thing I like about them is that I'm a pretty tall guy, and the one I had, it didn't go very high, so it was hard, specifically in the wood shop, where I couldn't get a lot of distance away from the camera, to take a video, get the thing high enough that it could actually, not cut my head off, kind of thing. And so these new tripods, they're actually quite a bit higher, which is nice.
I've seen some of the newer ones that go up to like 7 feet. So if you really wanted to do like an overhead shot, like looking down on your hives, that'd be nice if you wanted to do it that way.
Yeah, they're not the extra high, but they're 70 something inches. They're good height.
This one seems like it's pretty tall. I don't think it's 70 inches, but pretty
The
tall.
one I had was a bit
Yeah,
beat up. It was a good tripod,
center post will rise up too, won't it, Bob?
I don't know, but
the thing I liked about the other one, and the other one I had was Velbon Sherpa is what it was called. And the one really, really nice thing about that tripod is the head was controllable with one hand. It had that. It's kind of more like a TV studio tripod, where it has a lever that comes out, and you just unlock that lever, and you can pan and you can tilt all the same with the same control, and then just turn it to lock it. Whereas the one that I got has a ball, so you have to grab the camera with one hand and then unlock it and position the camera and lock it up again. So it's just a little more involved, but I think they're very well made. They seem to be. and nicely designed too.
Imagine if I play with enough, I can make this thing go up and down. But it's I don't know. It's probably 4 to 5 feet tall.
See, that's how that one is, Bob. You've got that one lever control. Does that turn, and then you can pan and tilt with the one control?
Yeah, I can.
Yeah,
Well,
that's a nice control because you can put your camera. If it's facing you, you can put that lever toward you, and then you can easily just control the tripod wherever you want to position the shot while you're looking at it.
this was either
It's quite
29
nice.
or 39 bucks. So with the case and
Oh,
all these, the little phone
That's a good deal.
fitting. Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know. It'll work for what I need it for.
How much was yours, Brad?
More than 39
One
bucks.
was
$29 times
Oh, yeah.
5.
one was like $100, and the other one was almost 150 or something.
So I'm trying
I
to
blew all my YouTube money for September.
So, Bob, does that center post go up like another foot?
You know, it's got a handle, like a carrying handle on it. So I think I would have to take the carrying handle off to make that happen. But it looks like it could because it's got a piece.
I know
down
the bottom hook down in the bottom. The idea of that is to put a weight on there so it doesn't blow over.
Right.
And this is
Stabilize
aluminum.
it.
Huh?
This is an aluminum pole, so it's not like plastic. So it's got a little
Yeah.
bit of weight to it. But it looks like it'll work. And then guess what? Here's what'll happen. I'll put this tripod up and I'll film a video. And the very next thing that'll happen is someone will comment that something's wrong with something with the video because of the tripod.
Of course.
That's what'll happen. I mean, it's just the nature of YouTube.
Well,
right?
the first thing that's going to happen is you're going to take it out there and it's going to get covered in bee poop. That's the first
Yeah.
thing.
It's got these little
Oh yeah, one of mine has that too. It's kind of nice.
yeah, it is a little nice thing.
I hope they last.
But for $29, I can afford to buy another one.
Yes, you can.
So that's the and then I'll have to get 5 cameras like Lee's got. No, I'll never have that many. But yeah, just a little addition.
Hey, Carl.
Peanut Butter Man. That I'm assuming your wife did that work because nothing a man makes could be that good.
Can you hear us, Carl? I don't think he hears.
Hey, peanut butter.
Peanut butter jelly time.
Peanut butter jelly time. Peanut butter jelly time. Peanut butter jelly in the baseball bat.
Yeah.
You gonna get frost tonight, Brad?
Oh, I might. I brought some things in. It's 6. It says no.
We
But
cleared off
they
here
were-
just at sunset. We cleared off. I just looked. We're at +1, so we're gonna get a killer tonight.
Yeah. They say 2, but 2 is close enough to frost that I get nervous.
What are your daytime temperatures up there now, Brad?
It's not been warm. It's not been warm. Today
We were
was 11.
we were +3 today.
That's 37 degrees.
That's Celsius, yeah.
27 Celsius.
So 11 is just over 50 F is what we were. So I've been warmer than Doug, but certainly not warm by any means. It's been raining. It just won't stop raining. It's crazy.
Yeah, we
It
just
seems
had
like 2 weeks ago your season was just starting.
It does. It does. The season's so short.
Oh, guess what I just figured out? So with in relation to my job there, I just checked my paycheck stub. My 40 hours of vacation just hit my check. So now they owe me 40 hours of time off or pay for that. So, yay me. That's always nice.
Good timing.
That's why they want to counter me.
So, Alex, I was saying, I was cutting up my comb today, and I thought, you know what? This is a good business opportunity for Alex because it's dead simple to make. It's just a little bit of work, and it's something you can easily process in your apartment. Package that up, and you can make a nice premium on that product. It's so easy. If it's difficult to make, you're overthinking it. It's so easy to make.
We're
so
not
easy.
making premiums. We're making creamiums. See what I did there?
I see what you did there.
Do you want a badumtis?
That's it.
Rim shot.
Sorry, didn't mean to.
Anyway, but you'll have to do that next year. It's too late now. But
yeah,
do that next year, buddy. You can, because you run mediums, right?
Yes, they're
Wow,
much.
that's
I can
perfect.
fit
That's
more in my
Yeah.
car.
Yeah, but comb honey in mediums is easy, reliable, and it's just the perfect size. Just the perfect size.
I know somebody.
That's what I encourage you.
I know. I don't remember the person exactly, but I know someone spoke of just taking the comb, the frame, and packaging the comb honey frame straight up. I think
If you
it
have
was
that market,
Jason.
absolutely. Well, Gus Mitchell does that. But if you have that market, great. If not, cut it up, put it in little trays. The thing you should have, though, Alex, which you might need to invest in, and I don't know how big your apartment is, but you probably have space for it, is get a decent sized deep freeze. Because putting your comb honey in the deep freeze as soon as you pack it is a good idea. It staves off granulation because comb honey that's granulated isn't the same.
My apartment is
So
kind of full, although I could make room. I could use the living room if I have it like the way my living room is set. Is I have an old TV, sofa,
Yeah.
and in the back I have a table with my router and modem.
Well, I'm sure you can find a place to
I could remove the
put a deep
table.
freeze or something. I mean, even a vertical freezer, but deep freeze is a lot cheaper.
Just set them on
you
your balcony in the wintertime.
In winter, yes, sure, but not in the summer.
Well, in winter you're golden, but there's that time between now and then, and because sometimes it takes me. I've still got, I don't know how many have I got. I got 10 or 15 trays of last year's comb still in my freezer, so I'm still selling it, and I've cut about 75 trays so far this year, and I'm thinking I might cut 200 trays this year, which would be nice.
Yeah, like the thing that you like cuts perfect rectangle, or did you just use a knife?
Total old school. And because it's they don't always make it perfect, so you got to cut what you can, and sometimes there's more than one piece in my tray. I just have a knife. I just have a thin knife. I have a pail of hot tap water. I get my knife. It's got to be clean. It can't have honey on it. Clean and warm, and that's what I use to cut the comb. And I just hold the tray.
Minutes.
I hold the tray next to the comb, and I use that to measure how big.
Who are
Phil,
your customers?
you do those 2x4s, don't you, Phil?
I do 3x3.
Oh.
But I use this.
Doug?
Who's your customers for that?
I use this knife.
I don't know, just anybody. People just ask for comb honey. Some people, I have some older people who buy it over and over again because they really like it. It's kind of a traditional thing that of course people used to eat a little more than today. Sometimes kids love it because they see it on TikTok and they got to have comb honey. So TikTok has actually sold a lot of comb honey for me So thank you, TikTok.
Is that how come the kids? That's one of my deals too. The kids like it's his birthday and he wants comb honey for his birthday.
That's right. That's exactly what it is. This girl on TikTok, she eats it and smacks her lips and makes lots of sounds, and then the kids say, "Ooh, I gotta have comb honey." I'm more than happy to oblige. I've got enough comb honey to go around.
We have never done it, but we've had a lot of Asians ask for it.
Oh yeah.
I've been getting a lot of requests for pollen lately.
Just put foundationless mediums, Doug. If you have any medium boxes, put some foundation mediums. That clover honey that you picked up this year, that's perfect because it doesn't granulate very easily, and it's delicious.
Basswood doesn't granulate fast either.
I'm retired. I don't want to do anymore, Brad.
I get it, man. I get it. I stand there cutting comb, and that's why I'm thinking, I wonder if I get somebody else to cut this comb for me. I'm thinking this would be a good thing for Alex to do.
I think it's when you have such a slow extraction process that I have, it's faster than shaving the shaving.
Well, what I'm trying to do right now is quite a bit of probably half the comb honey I made. I use those story frames that I have, and so what I have to do is I have to cut the comb honey off the sides, and then I have to extract the center. So I've set my packing table up right under my encapper, and I lay my frame down, and I cut the sides out. I lift the frame off and leave it sitting there so I can cut it up, and then I just put the frame on the uncapper and run it through there. And then once that's full, then I just fill the extractor because I want to get that honey out. But
yeah, I cut 3 by 3 and I can get 5 pieces across if it's fully capped. But then there's 2 inches at the bottom, and I cut those and I make chunk honey with the 2 inch.
Yeah,
with the
yeah, chunk honey. That's another thing you could do, Alex. Chunk honey, that's great. What I've
seen where you like Alex has got that medium, he can get a piece of combed honey, and then there might be a sliver of honey that's left over, comb left over, where you could throw it in that jar and then pour liquid honey around it and sell it that way too.
Alex, the very first time I made comb honey, I didn't even do it on purpose. But for some reason I had filled a deep box full of medium frames, and the bees drew the most perfect comb honey at the bottom of those frames all the way along. They didn't glue it together. Hey, Jason. And they didn't glue it to the box, so it all came out just perfectly, and I had these gorgeous strips of comb honey at the bottom of these medium frames. Now, I think if I tried to do it like that, it wouldn't work out like that, but it did that time, and I was hooked because it's such a beautiful product to produce.
Hey, Jason. Welcome.
What's going on?
Not much.
Talking bees. What else?
That's right.
You look tired.
I was editing, and I'm done editing, and I'm going to bed, and I was like, no, I'll go on live stream.
Come on.
Right?
Yeah. What do you got to do tomorrow?
What's that?
What do you have to do tomorrow?
Everything. Because it rained this evening. I got done some work stuff, and then I tried to go out and check a bunch of colonies, and then it started to rain. I'm like, well, this isn't fun. So now I've got more work to do tomorrow.
It's like Brad says, only 2 more days of work this week.
I know.
That's right.
Only 2 more days till Monday.
The same thing happened to me. I've been trying to work in my yard, and I can't. It rained all week.
Yep.
Rained all week. Rain tomorrow too.
It didn't rain at all. Well, it's starting raining today, but for the past 2 weeks, the temperature's been insane. Especially the last 3 days. 27 C's, 28.
Send me a little of that.
I'd like to.
20, that'd be 80 degrees.
Yeah, for fall, usually 10 C is the average over here at this time of year. So I don't know how much it is in Fahrenheit. I'd say around 50.
Yeah, it's 50.
What, 10? 50, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Our high tomorrow is 70. It's going to That's
That's
really
nice.
cool.
I'll take that. Our
I
highs
saw
are
the rain through
68,
the snow
and it's
flurries
dropping
last
like
night.
a rock the next 3 days. Right, Charlie?
Yeah, it's supposed to be highs in the 60s.
With
You
lows
know.
in the 40s, though.
Is it in the 40s? I
That's
know it's
last I
in the,
looked, at least.
yeah, I think it was
Lows in
50,
the 49, 50, 50, 49. So
yeah,
lows in
something
the
like
upper
that.
40s. Something like that.
Yeah. So you're done with your pollination trailers and all that stuff?
This year, oh, yeah. Yeah. I was wondering if any of you guys thought, I was thinking about this the other day, if the location of the brood's nest when your average low drops below 50 is a consideration.
Location, how?
So Brad, I know you run single deeps, right? Brad, a lot of singles. Do you run doubles? Yeah. So you and I, Charlie, run singles, and I have my thought points on doubles and others, but not saying they're bad. I'm just saying I run singles, and I watch the location of naturally bees. Some of them shut down, some slightly shut down this time of year. Some are still going, but I'm just curious because of the location of the brood's nest. If going through that last inspection, if you see that the brood's nest is 2 to 3 frames back away from a significant amount of honey or pollen, should you yank those frames and readjust the nest such that it's closer to the honey and the singles? That's kind of what I was thinking when I was what I was doing. I don't know if you have any thoughts on that, Brad, or anyone else.
My inexperienced tendency is to absolutely not touch that nest this time of year.
Well, sure, yeah,
and that's only my my paranoia. I have actually done some manipulations in mid to late August in the past, and it's not a scientific test or anything, but it just seemed to me that those colonies didn't winter very well. So I stopped doing that. And specifically what I was doing was I would take a nuke that had grown 4/5, and I would just plop that down into 10 because it's 9 already, right? And it just seemed to not be good for them. So I stopped doing that.
No, that makes sense. I
only
didn't mean
thought on
necessarily
that.
like tearing it apart, because I know I even teach a lot of people in my area when I'm teaching classes to not break the propolis envelope. That once your temperature gets too low, that propolis can't harden the way the bees intend it to with the heat, right? So you're cracking boxes, moving frames, you're breaking that propolis envelope. But I was thinking on those warm days, like this past week for us was fairly warm, right? So I'm going in and just doing my final assessments on the weights and where we're at in the colonies. And if I pull, if I see a colony that has a brood's nest that's shifted more to the left, I won't necessarily break it up too much, but try to make sure that there's like a good solid frame of honey, even if I'm swapping an outside frame with an outside frame. There's something to make sure that there's resources and it's not an empty frame or partially empty frame. I guess that's my thought process.
I would say centering that nest would be okay if you just use the outside frame or two to do that.
Yeah.
I would say that's okay. And what I was referring to though too was not cold weather stuff. This was mid-August. It was not cold at all. It just seemed to be a bit late for them to kind of completely reorganize that nest, and it may not have been a thing, but it just seemed to me that I would do that, and then that colony doesn't winter very well for some reason.
Yeah, definitely not reorganized. Yeah, I stopped moving frames, the nest around, and doing any checkerboard. And God, in like early July, I wouldn't touch it after that. But just trying to ensure that when I get in there, sometimes you get those outside frames that are just nothing in them, and you're thinking, well, shoot, they're not going to put anything in them at this point unless I feed, and they may just be consuming just to survive, to keep warm. So swapping frames out, things like that.
Yeah, if you can, like, if it's the outside frames, I would say, go for that. Yeah, an empty frame, if you can put a full frame in it, you're certainly going to do a lot more good than you're going to save by not touching it.
Obviously, yeah. Cool. Interesting.
Jason, you look
Wow, we're
beat.
the Brady Bunch. What's that, Bob?
You look beat.
I'm exhausted, dude.
Never ends.
I was in Atlanta. I was in Georgia for Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, no, late Sunday until Wednesday. I came back and I had a county dinner that I had to be at for, our ag part of Maryland, and then for Cecil County, and then been busy with working bees the last 2 days and such. So
Stone River Bee says, "Hey Jason, how's the bourbon honey coming along? Any more leaks?"
funny you asked that. No, I have not seen any drippage. I think I got it with the wax. I think I was successful with my wax sealing of it, so there hasn't been much. There was initially for like a week or two after, there was a couple of little tiny seepage drips, but nothing that's significant enough to kind of empty the barrel over time per se. So that's all good. I do have a cool, I have a video coming out tomorrow about the honeybee survey, but I do have a test that I did earlier this year on I call it bee art. And I think people have seen stuff like that. So I've got to edit it now. I just finished working on them the other day. It turned out pretty good. I was happy with how they turned out. I had a funny thing happen with it, but then at the end of it turned out the way I was hoping for. So look forward to that. It's going to be kind of cool with some bee art.
Yeah,
Well,
when
you
you
haven't-
see art, all I see is like crazy cross comb everywhere. Now that's
Yep.
the art.
Oh yeah, that's pretty much it, man. It was just the way that I kind of controlled it and use it so that it's able for display, because I'm trying to, do some different things to look at, just instead. I mean, you see these videos that are out. I mean, we all see them, we all make them about, how to this or how we do and this, that, and the other. And I just try to do some different stuff that people don't see, instead of just the regular inspection videos or the how-do videos or the how-to videos, whatever you want to call them. So just trying to do different things.
I got
That's
a
all.
question for you about that, the meadery.
Yeah.
So you got this big observation hive on the inside, and all the bees are flying outside to where the courtyard is, where people are sitting and drinking their fresh mead. Is that, they don't see any issues potentially with that?
No, actually, well, that's a great question. And disclaimer here, Rob and I were talking about this before we went down, which was there's obvious concerns that I don't know that they thought through elements of a observation hive. And what I mean by that is I've had 3 different observation hives now, and I can tell you the ups and downs of observation hives. It's not something that like I love when they post those things that online where people, you can have bees inside your house and they could go out the window. No, it's not. Trust me. If you don't have a good way to get that out and clean it out, you're going to have lots of. I mean, I had an observation hive for now a year and a half in my shop. In addition to the one you saw, Charlie, when you came over, that observation hive, It just died last week. It just got too small, and I wasn't able to kind of maintain it because you can't take it off. You can't swap brood out of it. The queen just was failing, and it got too small and not going away. It came back. It overwintered. It actually grew back. It was strong. And so anyway, my point I'm saying, Bob, to your question, is there's a lot of things like that. They actually put the exits and the entrance in this sort of piping system that directed the bees above the heads of the courtyard. The problem with that is it was a significant, to me, it's a significant trackway for those bees to travel to go and get out. So they'll have a lot of learning to do to get through that process. And I haven't called back the guys
they
over
can't
at
see the daylight like they could on a regular. I said they can't see the daylight like they could if it was a short tube right to the wall.
Correct.
So they're gonna have to definitely figure that out.
Yeah, I told him, I said, you're going to have to audible if you find that they're not using the entrance or the exit here in the next week or two, and quickly put a more straight line exit out. I said, putting some trees on the other side, some potted trees where they fly out and have to go up would probably be fine. But they are thinking about, putting them to go out and have the exits above their heads anyway. And really mead, I mean, mead's not sweet. If you ever tried it, it's sweet, but it's not sweet. It's not something bees are going to go after. Yellow jackets, yes, but not as many honeybees will go after mead.
I was just thinking, bees traveling in and out, people right there on the picnic tables eating and whatnot.
It's a valid concern, Bob. Believe me, it's and the good news is that I didn't just install these in a observation hive for people that have never worked with bees before ever.
Right.
Both guys have had colonies and have managed bees for 20 years. So, this is their first massive observation hive. And I think one of the guys kind of was his project to do this. And he reached out to me to get the colonies. And then we collaborated on the whole kind of video thing. But, at the end of the day, James, for example, has been keeping bees for 25 years. So he's kind of one of those, like many of us on this, like these streams and many beekeepers, we're kind of, we come up with this. We can solve problems pretty quickly. You see something, you're like, well, this is not going to work. And then you have to solve for it. So we all kind of do that on a daily basis. So it'll be fine. I'm going to check back with him this weekend to see how they're doing. Last I talked to him about a week ago, he said they were doing just fine. So, and they had found the entrance exit. And there's some challenges with the exit, but nothing he said he'll have to audible if it does go that way. So.
What happens if and when they swarm? Going to freak out a bunch of customers, DC said.
Yeah, right. I know.
You got to be on top of your game with that. You got to be looking at it.
Yeah, he did. It was funny because I saw one small hive beetle when I was dropping a frame in that crossed the side of the box. And I think on the video you might have saw me do it. I'm reaching for it to squish it. And it's just in human nature. When I see a small hive beetle, I squish it, right?
Right.
And then jokingly, James was like, well, I don't know, that's going to be a problem in the tasting room because they can't really I don't think they're going to be able to propagate very easily. Unless they're in there already, they're not getting back in there. That's one hive that's not going to have many small hive beetles in it if they don't have it in it already. So that was funny. He said that. I was like, yeah, I didn't think about that.
So, well, guys, it's almost 11 o'clock here, so I'm going to go ahead and shut down the live stream. Thanks for everybody coming in and the chat. And we'll see you next Friday or on Bob's channel on Tuesday night. I guess it's Bob's or
Saturday or Sunday or whatever night.
Or Monday. No Mite Monday or whatever.
No,
we're gonna go
Monday. I like that.
The late beekeeping show with Bob.
We can talk about anything but mites on Monday. That's what that's about. No Mite Monday.
Right.